Chapter 4665. Chapter 4665. The elders of Lushan's face were full of horror, and they looked incredulously. As he thought, the scene did not appear. His sword suddenly collapsed when he had not approached the dragon-flying door. "Who is you? Is it also a man of Xiamen?" The elders of Lushan moved. The heart is already shocked. He knew that Longfei had not shot from start to finish. In other words, Longfei's cultivation is far above him, so that he can collapse his own way. At this moment, he was afraid. But do you think this time? Is it useful? From the very beginning, Longfei gave him a chance. After all, Lushan is also an ancient fairy gate. Longfei originally wanted to pass them and explore the mysteries after Kunlun. It's just a pity that Lushan's choice made Longfei disappointed. Again and again, they all shot directly. And this is doomed. Longfei cannot let them go. In an instant, Longfei looked up and his mouth flashed a sneer. "Don't think too much. I am not a fairy. You don't have to worry about what will happen to the Dragon King Temple. Before, I just wanted to kill a few people who didn't know how to live. But now, I just want to destroy Lushan." Longfei said faintly. Just like the people of Lushan said, they want to fly dragons and stand up. And Longfei also wants to take Lushan as a petal, let the world know what is awe. "Wait, sir, this is a misunderstanding. The old wish is to apologize to you for the highest ceremony in Lushan." When Elder Lushan heard it, he even panicked and said directly, "However, the result will inevitably disappoint him. In the world of Longfei, there is no saying that the enemy is forgiven. At the moment he shot, the result was already doomed." Brush. The next moment, Longfei's figure flashed and crossed the void. When it appears again, it has already appeared in front of the elders of Lushan. The right hand explores and directly puts the elders of Lushan in his hands. "Apologize? Apologize? If you apologize for usefulness, what else should you use to fear the word?" Longfei's figure is cold and killing. "Hey!" The elders of Lushan did not even have the opportunity to speak. Just directly, Longfei pinched his neck and died. Brush it. In addition, several elders of Lushan, in this moment, directly retreated. "Escape. Notify the head and the elders. There are people attacking the mountains. Retreat. This child has become a demon. Summon the fairy dwarf friends to help. Fast. Retreat to the mountain-locked demon tower." Several elders panicked. There is no courage to face Longfei. Turn around and run. As for the 6 sons of Lushan, it is directly forced into the air at this moment. Under the horror of Longfei, there is no strength to move the bullets. Puff puff, puff puff. 6 sounds in a row. The 6 sons of horror spit of blood directly and fell on the void. Forgiveness, the seniors are forgiving. Yes, predecessors, you have made great achievements. Why bother with our little people? Let us put as a fart. Predecessors are forgiving. I am willing to be slaves and a cover. 6 people begged for mercy directly. I am afraid that my own opening will be slow, and I will be dissatisfied with Longfei. It's a pity that when they shot the fish, the result was already doomed. I hurt my brother and want to live? Sorry, Longfei never left the goodness to the enemy's mind. Hey! Longfei punched a fist, and the 6 figures were directly annihilated. The figure of Longfei did not stop at all, as if it was just a hand. In his eyes, only the depths of the mountains. Dang dang, dang dang, the long sword fell. On the top of Mount Lu, the people realized that what happened. God, is he the devil? Lian Lushan elders are a trick to kill? I just took the initiative to provoke. Escape, you must escape, or wait for him to turn, we will die. Among the crowds, all those who are disrespectful to Longfei's mouth, who are trying to provoke Lushan and kill Longfei, are all like hell. Just don't wait for their body to withdraw. A pressure came directly from the top of Mount Lu, instantly crushed on top of their souls. Hey, hey, hey. Of course, there are also many people who have always remained silent and have not fallen into the rocks and returned to their lives. But the most shocking thing is Li Yu. I am Chao. This time I'm really gambling. White has an invincible boss. The fish looked at the front and had a body. Already numb. Longfei brought him surprises again and again. Let him feel as if he is in a dream. Unbelievable. What he did not know, the whole of China, and even the whole earth, also shook because of what happened on this mountain. Island State, Rinji Shrine. What is China doing? Is another peerless power born? Lian Yushin, an ancient force that has been inherited for thousands of years. Can't resist it? Reluctantly look at the direction of China. The eyes are very strong. Western Super Alliance. Damn Oriental monkey, is God blind? No, it seems that something must be done. Otherwise, we will have no sense of existence. America. Damn, it is Huagua. Such a terrible aura fluctuation. Can it be said that they have touched the power of the true God? Of course, not only these, but also some small countries. It is all shocking. All of this is just because of the things that Longfei is doing at hand. At this time, the capital of China. The direction of Lushan? Isn't Lushan born today? How could such a terrible battle happen? Is it that there's a hostile force in the mountains, and it is born at the same time? Do the two sides fight? Yin Shaoxi has a dignified face. Breaking through the cool feeling of Yuan Ying, it disappeared directly. The head, I suggest to ask the saints about this matter. After all, the goddess is the highest strength of our country today. Maybe he can perceive something. Yin Shaoxi, a black-robe old man, said. Well, if you go to call the saint, you say that I said it. Yin Shaoxi said, with a touch of resolute. The old man gave a slight glimpse, but in the end did not say anything, but chose to leave. At this time, in addition to the down payment, stand in a loft in the peak of China. Xiao Yuwerer is full of excitement. Longfei brother, is that you? I feel it, that is your breath. Xiao Yuwener's eyes were so excited that tears had already swirled in her pupils. No, now the forces of ancient Chinese legends have been born. Even if Longfei's brother is strong, there may be an accident. This time, I must stand in front of him. Xiao Yuwere's heart moved and suddenly thought of it. The delicate five senses became somewhat misplaced because of panic. But this still does not affect the beauty. Even if it is anger and panic, it is still a country. Hey! The next moment, Xiao Yuwere's figure flashed and disappeared directly. What they didn't know was that the main character who caused this panic at this time was still on the hills of Xianting. Chapter 4666. Chapter 4666. Hello, I am in the mountains, and you have no enmity. Why do you want to kill the killer? Do you really have to kill it? I don't have a card at the top of the mountain. If it is a real battle, I won't be afraid of you. The elders of Lushan have no choice but to retreat. Had to bite the scalp and face the dragon. As early as your Lushan shot against my brother, everything has been fixed. Longfei said faintly. Condescending, no care. There is too much deception. Now your brother is fine. I am a few disciples who have already died in the mountains. How many elders do you still have to meet? The elders of Lushan opened their mouths and looked angry. In his opinion, Longfei has been humiliating enough for them, but it is still aggressive. What about that? If I didn't crush your strength today, will you let me go? Longfei said, brush. Everyone's expression was a meal. Also at this time, Longfei said again, you won't. So now I don't have to say anything innocent and deceive people too much. I just use your rules to teach you to be a man. Longfei said coldly. There is no difference between him and him. Not even have any effect. He smashed the mountain, but he wanted to let the fish know. What he insisted on was not a piece of empty talk. In this era of resilience, we can keep our mind. It is not easy. Several elders of Mount Lushan looked dignified. Longfei's attitude has already shown that today is definitely not good. Well, a good one teaches us to be a rule. In this case, there is nothing to say. Welcome to the teacher and the elders. A few people must be in the eyes, looking straight at the dragonfly. Boom! The next moment, in the middle of Mount Lushan, in a large hall, the two figures flew directly from him. I don't think that my mountain has just been born today. Someone wants to step on my mountain. If you do, leave you alone. Tian Yinghe. Before the Lushan Grand Hall, a figure was holding the Buddha's dust and said in a gloomy manner. And as his voice fell, before the Lushan Basilica, A long sword suspended above the void trembled. Rumble, rumble. This vibration continued, and Long Fei was also attracted. Hey! At this time, a piece of gravel fell from the sword. Hey! The stone chips have fallen, and the long sword suspended in the void has finally revealed its true colors. The long sword is dark red and kills the sky. Kid, Sky Shadow sword, but I sent a sword to send ancestor. I don't know how many evils I have. If it weren't for the change of the heavens and the earth, the legend of the end of the dragon, the legend of the Sky Shadow, will shock the world, where the round will get you to let go. But today, the name of the Sky Shadow will start with you. In front of the Lushan Grand Hall, Lushan's teachings were cold. Immediately, the body moves, directly traversing the void, holding a long sword in the hand, and then squatting between the fierce people. Boom! The sword is sweeping. Unleash an invincible sinister evil. It's Long Fei, and they all feel a touch of movement. However, a trace is a trace. The movement is also just because of the breath above the sword. That's it. As for the teaching of Lushan, for Long Fei, it is completely ignored. Of course, in the words, the final method of broken dragons is still captured by Long Fei. Intuition tells him that this is absolutely related to the myth of the Earth's annihilation. But now, it's not the time to think about it. Kid, you are too arrogant. This seat personally shot. You are actually indifferent. It is simply looking for death. Lushan teaches anger. See Long Fei indifferent. Killing is even more tyrannical. As if the performance of Long Fei directly made him faceless. I don't know for Long Fei. At this moment, it is like a cockroach ant is provoking the dragon. The ants are screaming, and the dragons will care? Not all. Brush. At this time, Jingguang flashed. The shadow of the Sky Shadow sword sent out a strong yang force, swept out, as if to destroy all evil spirits. Also at this time, the dragon flew. Unable to say between the dragon and the backhand, remove the scorpion sword. Brush. The swordsman flashed and rolled up. Hey! The long sword collided in the void. The violent swordsmanship also broke out at this moment. Booming. The sword is colliding, completely above the essence of the battle. The Lushan Tianning sword has been passed down for thousands of years. However, the scorpion sword is bigger. That is the Tongxian continent, where countless sages are unyielding and will gather in the bones. In comparison, there is no comparability at all. At this time, as if to prove the words of Long Fei, the sword on the sword was shocked, like a cockroach, and instantly engulfed the shadow sword. That's right. It is engulfing. Not only the sword, but even the long sword is engulfed. Long Fei's eyes lit up. The scorpion sword can swallow some power, and Long Fei's heart has long known. Unexpectedly, the power of the earth today can evoke the interest of the sword. Hey, congratulations to the players. The upgrade of the magic sword, the current level, the Demon 5. Hey, congratulations to the player for getting the demon skills, the Devil. The simplified version of Zhenshi Yijian, the active skill, the power of the player is currently repaired as the most powerful hit of 80%. When the dragon flew, he was overjoyed. I didn't even think that a mountain could even bring such a reward to myself. I rubbed it was awesome. There was a direct upgrade to the scorpion sword, but also brought skills. Long Fei was excited. When you move your heart, you will control the magic sword in your hand. Hey! The sorcerer's sword was shocked in the hands of Long Fei, and the swordsmanship was overwhelming. Booming. What Long Fei didn't think of was, he did not shoot. This sword is extremely crazy, directly raging on Mount Lu. Rumble. The piece of architecture collapsed under the attack of the sword. It was the Lushan Hall that was not spared, directly into a pile of fly ash. Long Fei is also silent for a while. I did not expect that the power of the sword after the upgrade is so powerful. Slightly trembled, the sword is so horrible. No, kid, Tianning's sword? What did you do? At this time, the sky was soaking away. The elders of Lushan and the elders of Lushan, as well as the former old men, appeared again. Lushan's palms were angry and asked. Of course, in the endless anger, he has forgotten. Even the shadow sword has been swallowed up by the long sword in the hands of Long Fei. Kid, you better hurry up and call out the shadow sword. Otherwise, we will shoot 7 people, you will die. Yes, we have 5 Yuan infants, 2 gods, and you're like a dog. Above the void, several people spoke. It is all anger, because the shadow sword is the symbol of their mountain. They are absolutely not allowed to fall into the hands of outsiders. And Long Fei, at this time, is laughing. Yuaning? Huashan? Haha, ants only. The same thing, give it back to you. I will kill you, killing dogs and killing chickens. Chapter 46-67. Chapter 46-67. Long Fei figure stands above the void and is very proud. Under the urging of the dragon's sword in the heart of the dragon, this moment is also a masterpiece. Even at this moment, without the use of Long Fei to take the initiative, it has already revealed. At this time, Lushan teaches a big drink. Boom! Rumble. In an instant, the swordsmanship is everywhere. The whole Lushan mountain is like a sword. The endless swords are suddenly spurred by the Lushan formation and appear from nothingness, condensed into a battle. Right, you are too arrogant. The arrogant people, there is nothing to end. Indiscriminately, I am a mountain, and today I am giving you a death penalty. Kill. Lushan's teachings were severely cold and shouted. Immediately, both hands move. Hey! Infinite swordsmanship converges, whistling one side. Scorpio is a devil. Then, the remaining 6 people did not dare to hesitate. Zhanyang, evil. Night Moon, demon. All of them are shot at the same time, and they are self-contained. Everyone has a different way of making a move, but the power is not to be underestimated. In an instant, the sword formed into a prison, and Jiang Longfei was trapped in the middle. Hey, brush it! Thousands of swords and shadows began to wreak havoc, crazy. At the same time, in the deserts of North China, the country that disappeared on the first floor was looming in the endless desert. Like a mirage, it is full of mysterious colors. It is the direction of Lushan, and the 7 swords locks the soul array. I don't know who it is. I forced 7 old guys to go crazy. Don't care, it's already a dead person. The capital of China. The head, you can rest assured, and Lushan even showed this means, no matter who it is, it will die. An old man sat around Yin Shaoxi. At the same time, the face flashed a relief, because he clearly knows that after he went to the St. Louis Pavilion, he saw people go hollow. What is instinctive between the instinct? Even he did not dare to say this speculation to Yin Shaoxi. Today, there is Lushan shot. His heart can finally be put down. Oh, unfortunately, I thought that my Chinese country had another cowman who could use it for me. I just didn't expect that my temper was too violent and I was killed by the mountain. Right. What is the situation of the saint now? Yin Shaoxi first sighed and then asked. The saint should now be on the way to Lushan. I believe that with the means of the saint, there should be a good conversation with Lushan. The old man said. There was a bit of peace and smile between the eyebrows. Yin Shaoxi nodded. Did not care more. Similarly, in the South China Sea, the Zihang Jianzhai is also a few people. It seems that the recovery of aura has really brought too much change to the world. Some people can compete against Lushan. With their own power, they have forced the use of swords. Between the clouds and the clouds, above the pavilion, a woman who still has a charm, said frowning. The master, do we want to delay the birth? Let's be targeted. When the woman was around, a girl with a clear face with a veil said, No, even if the heavens and the earth change again, can you still pass the rules set by the sages? If this world has become a fascinating sorcerer, the group of magical dances, it is our sword of mercy and the time of the world. If this is the case, it will be targeted. It can only be said that there is no expectation in this world. I will give up my body and give up my body. C.I. Hang Zhai said, Shu Guang, identification. Next to her, the woman glimpsed. Immediately hold the long sword in your hand. This scene, there are too many places. The existence of the ancient Chinese legends, due to the Battle of Lushan, was born in advance. Long Human, Kixingjian, Luan ancient country, Southern Wu nationality, Northeast shaman, concern about the world. And Long Fei, naturally, does not know that the battle between them will cause the Chinese nation to shake. Of course, even if you know it, it will not affect the original intention of Long Fei. At this time, Long Fei was in the formation, but his eyes locked the locked demon tower after the Lushan Basilica. With the start of the sword array, the locked demon tower after the Lushan Basilica is in full swing. Between the demon and the arrogance, it seems to break through the locked demon tower and reproduce the world. Even among them, there are still a few breaths that make Long Fei one of them. It seems that there are still a few brushes in Lushan. Long Fei thought in his heart. But this, no worries with him. Don't say what Lushan did in the past. Even now, Lushan is still a demon slayer, and for Long Fei, he does not care. After experiencing all kinds of ancient worlds, Long Fei's heart has long banned the demon race. Everything is just a drive after weighing the pros and cons. In other words, Lushan is never of protection in his eyes. Instead, from today's performance of Lushan today, Long Fei is more certain. However, it is the name of the conceited monk, the name of the world. Otherwise, it will not ask directly to the leaf fish shot. Only by this point, the fate of Lushan has been doomed. Kid, you can be content. You can die under my sword. You are proud. Even before the millennium, there are not a few enchantings worthy of my use of the Shushan sword array. Lushan said that he was awkward, very confident, very crazy. As if the sword array came out, Long Fei would die. But at this time, in the sword array, Long Fei finally moved. Sword array? I can break 1,000 miles with sword? Do you dare to say the sword in front of Laozi? The old man will let you see what is called a real sword. The sound of Long Fei came out of the sword array. Holding a scorpion sword, standing in the sword array of thousands of swords, and then a sword blasted. Boom! A sword is thrown out, and the sword man's directly rises. Hey! Hey! The sound of the endless long sword breaks and appears. And this sword-cold light has not disappeared. Directly stabbed to the void. Hey! A crisp sound appeared. I saw that the entire Laozhan sword array directly cracked. Then, boom! A loud noise broke out across the entire sword. Nothing to stop. At the moment when I touched the dragon and the sword, I immediately annihilated it in the void. Boom! 7 people also flew directly at this time. Flower bells, it's useless. The sword is a murderer. One of my swords, the devils are all stunned. The sound of Long Fei came out, and then the figure came out of the sword. Dead. The sorcerer's sword swept past. For this sword, Long Fei has absolute confidence. Even if it is now repaired, it is only suppressed to the ancient power. But Long Fei believes that 80% of the ancient powers are enough to sweep everything. Puff. Puff then, 7 times in a row. Lushan's teachings and elders have not yet understood from the shock. It has been beheaded by a dragon and a sword. In the whole process, Long Fei is just 2 swords. A sword broke, and a sword killed the enemy. Destroy the dead. Invincible horizontal push. Chapter 4668. Chapter 4668. Long Fei stood with a sword. Everything is silent. Everything is attributed to nothingness. The entire Lushan mountain, with the death of 7 people, was declared broken. It can be said that when Lushan was born, it immediately ushered in the end. Of course, all of this happened under the eyes of the disciples of Lushan. The hall collapsed and turned into fly ash. Numerous mountain gates broke down and became ruins. The inexhaustible long swords broke and became history. Even the iconic sky shadow of Mount Lushan has completely disappeared. This moment, for them, nothing more than a collapse of faith. It's over. When it's over, can anyone tell me what happened? No, it's gone. We are gone. Escape. Run away. This person is a demon. Hey! For a moment, within the entire Lushan mountain, countless figures fled insanely. Lushan is gone. How can they still dare to stay? I was afraid the dragon would fly a thought and kill them with a sword. But Long Fei does not care about these people at all. The gaze is directly locked in the locked demon tower, and there is an impulse between the inexplicable. The mountains are already in the world, and in this locked demon tower, will there really be a legendary demon? After the son-in-law, evil sword fairy, Long Fei's heart is guessing constantly. What is it for him? As long as the locked demon tower is broken, everything is clear. Long Fei thought in his heart and waved a sword in his backhand. Brush. A sword swept. Hey! However, what makes Long Fei unexpected is that the locked demon tower just trembled a few times and returned to calm. Long Fei was shocked, but a smile appeared. There are always swords in the swords of the scorpion. Is it the supreme treasure of the earth? A dragon flies. I did not expect this result at all. System Sister, what is the level of this locked demon tower? Even the swords are constantly smashing. Long Fei asked, Master, so I can't judge at all. Unless you will conquer the demon tower, it will become your magic weapon. Or I can get out of the system. The System Sister said. Long Fei's eyes are dark. The System Sister said before that she can get out of the system and become an independent existence. And this big premise is that you are strong enough. At this time, the System Sister said again, but even the sword can't be cut off. It can be inferred that even if it is better than the sword, it will not be too much. The System Sister said, this time, even Long Fei feels scared. He is too clear about the power of the magic sword. Now the System Sister said that a locked demon tower is already second only to the demon sword. This judgment is nothing short of surprise for Long Fei. How should I take the locked demon tower? Long Fei asked. Master, if the locked demon tower is really comparable to the demon sword, it must have been a spirit. Because the magic sword is a system product, all power is controlled by the owner, so it will not produce a spirit. But the gods on this earth have fallen to this level, and certainly have already had a spirit. The owner wants to conquer the locked demon tower. Then the necessary link is to enter the locked demon tower. The System Sister said after a slight indifference. The look of Long Fei is also calmed down. Entering the locked demon tower? Long Fei repeated a sentence, inexplicably hard. Well, it's comparable to the magical sword of the demon sword. I have to fix it. Long Fei's eyes must be fixed. His eyes are determined, and his body goes straight to the locked demon tower. In the presence of Shenbao, Long Fei could not let go. In particular, the locked demon tower is still comparable to the magical sword of the demon sword. How can Long Fei not be tempted? In the next moment, Long Fei did not hesitate and stepped directly across the void, descending under the locked demon tower. Call! A footstep. In the locked demon tower, there is an endless demon, extremely rich. It is the dragonfly. The vertical and horizontal Wanjia have not felt such a pure demon. Sure enough, it's not as simple as the existence of a magic sword. The point is, the earth is not as simple as I thought. In the eyes of Long Fei, the light flashed. Without hesitation, push the hands directly to open the door of the locked demon tower. Then step into it. What Long Fei didn't know was that at the moment when Long Fei figure entered the locked demon tower, a figure appeared directly on Mount Lu. It is the Holy Woman of China, Xiao Yuer. No, Xiao Yuer's figure just arrived, just to see Long Fei push the locked demon tower. Quickly want to stop, but it is already late. Her voice has just fallen, and the entire locked demon tower has been completely closed. Brush. In an instant, Xiao Yuer's face changed, and she was very confused. The color of endless worry also directly on the cheek. The Virgin. It is a saint. The saint is coming. The sky wants to let it die. It will make it crazy. This kid is dead, and he has turned his head too far. Even if he is very strong, he is too unscrupulous. He even shot directly at Lushan and alerted the saint. Oh, let's say we are innocent. Wait, I see how he died in the hands of the saint. In an instant, the crowd is in vain. A commotion. If you say Lushan makes them awe, that Xiao Yuer is in their hearts. It is the patron saint of the whole of China. So, in a moment, all the worries of the heart were completely put down. Originally, when they saw that Long Fei was trapped in the sword array, they had already determined that Long Fei would die. But the power of Long Fei is not what they can imagine. When they saw Long Fei, A sword smashed 7 people in Lushan. The moment in my heart is like a hail. It seems to have died. But now, seeing the return of Xiaoyuer, it has rekindled hopes of survival. Yes, Saint, these two must be the devil of the world. The arrogance is incomparable, and if you don't agree, you will fight. Lion Shinshin, Xianmin are all gone, and they must not let them go. Otherwise, the whole country will fall into an endless panic. Especially the one who entered the locked demon tower cannot stay. Keep him, the whole country will not be alive. The next moment, these people open their mouths again. Adding oil and vinegar is talking about Long Fei. It seems that they are victims from beginning to end, and they are all innocent parties. Fart, you are a bunch of hybrids. Why don't you know why my boss is shooting? When my boss was there, you were a grandson. Now you are telling the truth. You are not afraid that my boss will come out. Is a sword extinguishing you? Li Fish screamed. Originally, watching Long Fei go deep into the locked demon tower, he was worried about it. Now I heard these people whisper in front of Xiaoyuer and broke out directly. Hey Liu, you can't recognize yourself now. Can you be arrogant in front of the Virgin? Wait, you'd better expect your boss to die inside the locked demon tower. Otherwise, even if he comes out, it will die. In the crowd, a cold and taunting appeared. Yu Li Fish is extremely angry, but there is no rebuttal. His eyes are also directly locked to Xiaoyuer. What surprised him was that Xiaoyuer was a cold face. Brush. Xiaoyuer shot directly and directly took the person who had just opened and smashed Long Fei to take a volley. What did you say? Chapter 46:69. Chapter 46:69. Xiaoyuer's voice is cold and frosty. In the eyes of the killings, the people who opened before the lock. I'm talking about the wicked. If this person is chilling, the cold sweat of the beans sprouts out from the forehead. Not only him, everyone is like this. They completely wondered why the saints who had always guarded the Chinese nation would suddenly shoot at them. I can be an enemy of you and the demon. But be clear, I could be an enemy of the whole world for him. Xiaoyuer's voice is cold. After that, I suddenly let go. Let this person fall directly on the ground. No longer paying attention to it, the whole person's mind is immersed in the direction of the locked demon tower. Liu, hey, Liu is also a god. I really don't understand. What is this in the end? The name of the saint, he is clear. That is the patron saint of China. There are not many real people. In the past, as long as there are evil spirits and hostile forces in China, the body of the saint will arrive at the first time, and then all the enemies will be forced to retreat. Therefore, in the moment when the saint appeared, he also squeezed his sweat for Long Fei. I am afraid that the Virgin and the dragon will face each other. However, this scene makes Liu completely forced. Is this Nima unscientific? Is the old Dalian saints soaked up? Liu thought in his heart. But I just dare to think, I dare not ask. This idea is for him. Too horrified. At this time, among the crowd, a personal influence want to leave this right and wrong. But at this time, Xiaoyuer moved. No one can leave until he comes out. Since he said that you are innocent, then you should die. I don't kill you, but I want to keep it and give him hands. But if you're looking for death, I will send you back to the west now. Xiaoyuer said coldly. In the eyes, cold and ruthless. Instant, all sounds and footsteps suddenly stopped. I dare not move, and their faces seemed to fall into endless pain and suffering, waiting for the coming of death. Even their thinking in their hearts. In the locked demon tower, whether there is a strong presence, can kill Long Fei. However, is it really possible? The answer is of course no. At this point, Long Fei has gone deep into the 3rd floor of the locked demon tower. No pressure. The first and second layers, whether they are demon or strange, see the moment of the dragonfly, directly shivering. Compared with people outside, they can feel the horror of Long Fei. The blood of the cockroach raged from the flesh. Just a glance, they directly form a crushing injury to them. Long Fei has passed, and Wan Yao has surrendered. And Long Fei, too lazy to shoot these demons, walk straight and go straight to the 4th floor. After the dragon flies away, The demon on the third floor gathers together, and the mind is staggered. This is a big man. I can feel the will and strength that overwhelm all beings. It seems that this time Lushan is suffering. You said that if we follow up, will it be alive? As hope. But the one on the seventh floor is not simple. Wait a minute. At this moment, all the evil spirits are staring at the direction in which dragon flies away. The long-suffering heart also gave birth to some expectations. And all this, Long Fei did not know. I won't care. At this point, Long Fei has entered the fourth floor. Just broke into the door, a strange feeling. It will come to the heart of Long Fei. Weird. It's just a mystery. Long Fei's heart whispered, fearless, step by step. Giggle. At this time, a voice of laughter appeared, passed into the heart of Long Fei. Come on, stay here. The slaves will make you drunk and dream, die and forget, let you have, enjoy the emperor. The slave's delicate body, let your brother swear. A soft voice, twirling around Longfire. Long Fei quietly looked at the eyes, one by one, the beautiful woman beheaded. The silk does not move. But in fact, I'm already worried about my heart. It's just that Long Fei is clear. All this is just an illusion. In other words, it is just a fantasy scene that is woven from this layer of monsters. Maybe, behind this beautiful woman, it is already a wrinkled old witch. At the thought of this, Long Fei's heart was aversion. The heart is moving, creating a scent. What? A scream appeared. Then, everything in front of him disappeared directly. What beauty, what gentle township, all disappeared, presented in front of his eyes, but a few foxes who fell to the ground. Fox, I don't know what to do. Hundreds of years of roads dare to make an axe in front of me. Long Fei sneered. His woman, which one is not a country, if he could be tempted by this kind of thing, he talks about what is going on. Adults are forgiving. The little woman was only ordered by the spirit, and she had to take it. Otherwise, it will be punished by the spirit. Adults are forgiving. In front of me, a fox demon appeared directly, stumbled in front of Long Fei, constantly begging for mercy. A dragon flies. The instrument spirit? Sure enough, the system sister said it was good. However, I want to stop me with the demon, too whimsical. Long Fei thought in his heart and kicked a fist between the backhands. Hey, the fist shadow has passed, and the demon has suddenly fallen. The fox demon in front of him was also annihilated by Long Fei. Hey, congratulations to the player to kill the Green Hill six-tailed fox. Get the Qingqiu catalog. Long Fei has a footstep, watching a flash of light into the system space. My heart is moving. Qingqiu fox? A wipe, Seal Sanyong. Is there any flower month? Is there any baby? Long Fei's heart is moving. Even a flash of light flashed through my mind. Since the legend of the earth, Qingqiu has already appeared. What about Tushan? Will it be? Thinking of this, Long Fei's heart suddenly stunned for a while, just like playing chicken blood. These things are not going to come. Since they have come to earth, these things will always be clear. But now, the most important thing is that the fairy will lock the demon tower. Long Fei forcibly suppressed the excitement in his heart and went straight to the fifth floor. Among the fifth floor, there is a dragon. For thousands of years, I can almost turn the dragon. However, when Long Fei saw it, it was directly paralyzed. Who is Long Fei? It is no exaggeration to say that Zulong is. A dragon has an arrogant part in front of Long Fei, non-existent. However, Long Fei did not rush to kill, directly accept the dragon as a mount. Then, Long Fei went straight to the sixth floor. Until the sixth floor, Long Fei's eyes finally changed. Between the vagueness, he has already felt a few points and fears. How many years have passed, and finally someone dares to lock the demon tower. Kid, have to say you are really courageous. It's ridiculous that you don't know what level of existence the chained demon tower is. However, your road is here. Long Fei figure just stepped into the sixth floor. An arrogant voice instantly appeared. Chapter 4670. Chapter 4670, the capital of China. Hey, The cup fell to the ground, and the blue and white fell directly into pieces. Damn, what does Guiware really say? Yin Shaoxi was extremely angry and filled with blood. He was directly angered in front of everyone. In front of him, there are a group of people who dress up differently. These people are not the same, but the difference is not big. The last time, it is already yuaning. The head, this is afraid of any misunderstanding. The saints want to protect my country, and the merits are infinite. How can I say such ruthless words to my Chinese people? An old man said openly. His name is Zhong Yi, and he is one of the guardians of the Chinese state. He is one of the earliest beneficiaries of Reiki. At the same time, because of the help of Xiao Yuer, the cultivation of all the way has soared, and today has the status. Hey, Zhongbing, is things so clear? What misunderstandings can there be? Although I don't know what the relationship between the virgin and the man, but the result is already very obvious. In the heart of the saint, it has been enchanted. So, this matter must be investigated clearly. When Zhong Rong's voice just fell, one person immediately jumped out to refute. The eyes are sharp, with a bit of sizzling. It's not someone else. It's always the old man with Yin Shaoxi. Liu, can you talk through your brain? Why is the Virgin Mary so strong? If it really wants to be a disaster, do you think that the whole earth still exists? Zhong Renjing's face was cold, and she said, "Oh, if you said it before, maybe it was. But now, the legendary era has arrived, and many characters have been born. Maybe the saint is feeling that his position is threatened, and he wants to prove himself because of his life. The more you do, the more dangerous it is." Liu said. The eyes did not look at Yin Shaoxi quietly, because he is most often with Yin Shaoxi. On the one hand, it is because of the clear understanding of Yin Shaoxi's mind. On the one hand, it is to understand Yin Shaoxi's card. Therefore, at this moment, he was unwavering and poured dirty water on Xiao Yuer. "You," Zhong Rong said. "There is no way to refute." And Liu once again said, "Less nonsense as before, vote." Zhong Renjing's face was dark, but for Li's words, there was no rebuttal. Just like before, Yin Shaoxi looked gloomy and looked at the 9 people in front of him. "I declare that it is to continue to let the saints arbitrarily act, or to summon the fairy door and persuade the saint to return to the right track." Yin Shaoxi said, "Although it is 2 choices, but his meaning is already very clear. Give things directly. That is what Xiao Yuer is doing now. It's just that you are doing nothing, that is, going backwards, have deviated from their current rule." Zhong Rong's heart is helpless. For Yin Shaoxi's thoughts, he didn't know. However, I want to take the saint as my own. Only the saints never add color to him. In the past, Yin Shaoxi was obsessed with changes in the world. He wanted to rely on Xiaoyu, so he bowed his knees. Only now, Xianmen was born. He, Yin Shaoxi, is the master of contemporary Chinese, leading the country. There's also a habit of air transport. The dragon veins are inherited. Therefore, the desire of the heart is not disguised. Now that I just grabbed this handle, how could it be let go? Thinking of this, Zhong Rongbing's heart is helpless and extremely chilling. Can be under the roof, have to bow. Even if he is unwilling in his heart, he can only be silent. Soon, 9 of them stood in the middle. And at the side of Zhong Rongbing, there are only 3 people. Zhong Wei Si no. The helper is more helpful. Although the sacred woman has meritorious deeds, today she is the devil, and she is shocked by the sorrows. So, even if it is a saint, give us a statement. If the saint is willing to get rid of the demon, it is still our saint. Liu said, the look of a face seems to have already guessed the results of today. Yes, Li Daoyu said it was good. Under the turmoil of heaven and earth, Sangxing is the most, and I will wait for all the evil spirits to be enemies. Zhong Daoyu, you are also a master of Yuaning. I don't believe you can't feel it. His demons are so powerful that they directly destroyed Lushan. What if he is a disaster? At this time, another person said, as soon as this statement came out, it caused a sudden sorrow. It's good to say that this evil demon is powerful. If the saint is unclear with it, you are the root of the sin. Yes, it's not that I wait for sentiment, but because of the righteousness. Of course, as long as the holy lady is willing to turn back, I will still respect it. The sound of the road appears, said to be crowned. However, Zhong Rongshan did not say a word. Together with the two people around him, it is also very silent. It's good to say it, and it's impossible to change. They're choosing at the moment. At this time, Yin Shaoxi moved, slightly decapitated. Okay, just set it. You wait for 9 people, speed to Lushan, let the saint return to the shore. Just say this, I said. Yin Shaoxi said, very firm. The phrase is a method that comes with a kind of pressure that cannot be refused. Yes, we had all said 9 people. Although Zhong Yibing did not want to be in the heart, but at this time he could not help but had to endure the anger in his heart, and said, yes. At this time, Xiao Yue, who was discussed by several people. I never thought of it. The Chinese that have spent their own efforts and guarded down the country, at this time, have excluded themselves from the artistic conception and defined it as the reverse. At this time, Xiao Yue's heart is only Long Fei. Long Fei brother, don't have anything. Xiao Yue's face was heavy, looking at the locked demon tower, muttering to himself. At this time, the locked demon tower is in the 6th floor. Long Fei looked at the big monster in front of him with amazement. Boss Light, I am Chao. Have you made a mistake? There are still bosses on the earth. Long Fei was forced. The entire Lushan mountain is between the fingers and the smoke. Even if it is to the 5th floor, it is a belief, and it will receive the service directly. On the 6th floor, get him a boss directly and let him not be surprised. And opposite him is an indescribable behemoth. As a tiger, hair is like a thorn, and a tooth is like a blade. It's Long Fei. At first glance, I feel a fierce battle. Kid, look at you into the locked demon tower. I can give you a chance to be my slave. I will take you to dominate the world. Between the dragon and the thought, the beast in front of him suddenly said. Long Fei stunned and immediately laughed. Take me to dominate? Are you special about being stupid? The first time, I even met the boss and wanted to accept myself, but also wanted to be a slave. It's just a joke. Confidence in confusion. Kid, you're looking for death. The behemoth was angry and screamed at the dragon. Long Fei, however, directly opened the system detecting boss attributes. Long Fei said. Then the screen flashed in the system, and all the information about the boss in front of it was presented directly. Chapter 4671. Chapter 4671 Boss, commonly. Level closing. Description. The beasts of the mountains and the seas in the era of the earth's ruins, fierce and fierce. One of the 4 beasts of the mountains and seas, the power can break through the sky and can retreat from the family and the ghosts and gods. Just continue to look at the information about the boss in front of the eyes. Long Fei has a panoramic view. I just didn't think that the boss in front of me was actually awkward. Shanghai Beast? Legendary level? Long Fei's eyes were moving, and he was slightly excited. For the level, Long Fei did not care too much. Moreover, the laws of every world are different. Therefore, the level of boss changes. Long Fei did not think much. A boss itself can cover everything. Master, this big guy is not simple. I feel that he is not suppressed by this locked demon tower. On his body, I feel a special atmosphere. I am excited in Long Fei's heart, thinking about exploding the boss as soon as possible, and then entering the 7th floor. In the mind, suddenly the voice of the system sister appeared. Special power? It's not a system girl, but here is the earth, and it's just a mountain. How can there be any special power? Long Fei is a bit stunned. If it is said that the locked demon tower itself is a sword comparable to the demon sword, Long Fei recognized. After all, the earth itself is full of endless mystery, and Lushan itself is a legend. Moreover, the suppression of the boss in the locked demon tower, Long Fei will not be unexpected. After all, this is the suppression of Lushan in countless years, and it is still on the 6th floor. There is a boss, the more unexpected. However, it is not easy to say now, but it makes Long Fei feel awkward. Even if this fierce beast is so fierce, it does not make Long Fei feel the pressure. In other words, this boss, within the sense of Long Fei, wants to kill. It is easy. Master, don't care. My feelings can't be wrong. There is a kind of power that I can't understand in the body of this beast. It is extremely magnificent. Maybe it is the big move of this beast. The system's sister said. The tone is dignified than before. At this moment, even if Long Fei's heart was proud, he also put away his contempt. Very grand? This word can make the system's sister say it. The cliff is not simple. Once the line of sight turns, it locks again. At this time, it is clear that the state of the storm has been forced. Kid, you succeeded in arousing my anger. Even thousands of years ago, no one dared to be so arrogant in front of me. Now, even if you want to be a slave, there is no such opportunity. Give me death. The snoring is heavy, and between the words, the snoring and snoring, the feeling of pain in the face. Then look at the front paws. Boom. Business of the world is generally pleasing. It is Long Fei, and they all feel the pressure of silk. Even if it is now in the flesh, it will instantly tighten. Long Fei has a drink. Between the backhands, the scorpion sword will be taken out and volleyed directly. Hey, a sword is empty, but it was resisted by the shackles. A dragon flies. Nima, it's really rough and thick. Long Fei's eyes were amazing. It's not that the power of the sword is small, but the enemy in front of me is strong. Moreover, the strong is not a star and a half. Even if it was before Lushan, a sword swept 7 people, and the power of this sword is not great now. But it was still resisted by the shackles in front of him. Haha, itching. Kid, you're also at this level. It's also dealing with the garbage outside, and the bottom of the chop in front of Lousy, it is a slag. This sword, even my fur cannot cut. Still want to marry me? Haha. Laughing, the size of the lantern-like pupil is full of disdain. Even between the words, the claws were directly pinched with the claws, and the long sword was taken from the dragon. But at this moment, the dragon flew. Despised by a boss, can Long Fei endure? Hey, the sword is surging, and the konjac is once again falling. Hey, a sword, the forefoot of the cockroach is directly cut in half, scarlet and thick blood, directly began to arrogant. It is like half of the flood that opened the gate. 1,000 miles. Roar. The roar of screaming, like a bird of horror, suddenly retracted the front paw. At this time, above the top of the skull, blood strips began to appear. One layer is laminated. The numbers in each layer are all question marks. And this sword just now is only tens of thousands of injuries. Even the first layer of blood did not go out to divide. This result makes Long Fei extremely painful. Humble bugs, you completely angered me. Give me death. Hey, signs are taken again. This time, Long Fei did not continue to sword. Instead, between the crashes, a punch was made. The sky, earth, penalty, sun and moon, stars. The power of the 7 rules broke out instantly. And Long Fei, the repair of his body, also began to unblock at this time. He suppressed the cultivation, but he was afraid that his power would be too strong, and he would accidentally puncture the earth. Today, in this locked demon tower, there is no need to have such concerns. In an instant, the body of Long Fei has skyrocketed. Super great perfection. 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, and continue to the 5th layer. The breath of Long Fei was able to stop. Of course, this is enough. Hey! The Invincible punched into the air and collided with the front paws of the dragonfly. Boom! Booming. A collision. Invincible, a fist, unlimited, even if it is a mountain beast, but under the dragon's fist. It was also an instant scream. Roar! Then, the front paws broke and collapsed directly into the void, leaving only the minced meat. The blood on the top of the skull was even more violent at this time, and was instantly cut off. You impossible Deluo. Your cultivation is actually a big luo. How could you have such a terrible repair? This is absolutely impossible. Looking at the dragonfly with a look of horror. And Long Fei is also a glimpse. Deluo? I also search for memories in my mind. Refining, building foundation, Jindan, Yuanying, Huashan, Feishing, Dixian, Tianxian, Jinxian, Tai Jinxian, Dahlia Jinxian. Then, it is the sacredness of the world. Even the saint. The super 5-layer is the big Luo Jinxian. If I have full firepower, isn't even the saints crushed? Longfei thought of it. I was excited in an instant. He can be sure now. Returning to the earth, under the aura of resurgence, the myths of the past will be reproduced. And if you want to complete the task and repeat the myth, you must have enough strength and cultivation to face the transcendental existence on the earth. Today, from the mouth of the embarrassment. At least for sure, I already have this confidence. At this time, you have begun to shrink. In the face of Longfei, it has already produced fear. Chapter 4672. Chapter 4672, but Longfei, with a few regrets on his face. A punch is just a disability. The boss is really a boss. Even if it is a world rule, there should not be such a big gap. However, but this repair is enough. If a punch does not die, then there will be more punches. Longfei speaks to himself. But in this case, every word that hears the ear is like a blue sky. He does not know what boss is. But I can understand that Longfei has given birth to him. Moreover, he also knows that the power of Longfei is suddenly bursting. Under this cultivation, it is only a matter of time to kill himself. I can't help it at all. You, who are you? There is no such thing as you in the ancient times. Are you a saint disciple, and one killed him? The screaming sound opened. The shadow of the heart is getting richer and thicker. In the face of Longfei, there is only fear. The previous arrogance, all disappeared. He even suspected that this is what Longfei deliberately made, playing pigs and eating tigers. If he can know that Longfei is this cultivation, he will recognize it when he comes up, and he will never take the initiative. But now it's already late. Longfei is not moving. Sage disciple? It doesn't exist at all. Understand the cultivation system of this world. Even in front of the saints, Longfei also wants to wrestle his wrist. So for the embarrassing words, Longfei has no feeling at all. You have too much nonsense. Don't you just let Laozi be a slave? Longfei's eyes were cold, and he smiled lightly. It's the saint in your mouth. If you don't recognize it, he is a fart. On your own, dare to swear to Laozi? Longfei opened again. Completely defeat the psychological defense of the cockroach. Do not. Adults are small and have no eyes on Mount Tai. I quickly open my mouth. What can be answered is just a punch. Hey! Longfei hit a fist on the top of his head. Roar! Rumble. The huge body was directly hit by the end, and the barbs were directly bombarded by Longfei, and blood was dripping. No! Among them, I once again asked for mercy. In a voice I couldn't stop shaking. Can Longfei, still a punch. Hey! As if to confirm his previous words, if you can't make a punch, there will be more punches. Therefore, at this time, became a giant bee sandbag. One punch and one punch. Hey! Hey! The blood of the top of the skull is also in the strength of this punch, one layer after another, until the last punch fell. The blood of the cockroach goes straight to the bottom. Just tap it. Explode directly. The dragon's mouth sneered at the corner of the mouth. Picking it up, and the color of expectation came to light. Although I don't know if you are such a dish, how can you become a boss? But after all, it is a boss. The most unsatisfactory can bring a little experience. Give me a burst. The dragon flew at the corner of his mouth, and the punch fell again. Boom! The power of shackles swept away. Longfei is even ready to wait for the sound of the system. However, the change is sudden. Longfei's punch was directly imprisoned. Yes, it is imprisoned. Life stays in the void. In an instant, Longfei, scorpion ice cold. The anger is rising. Suddenly looking up, I was seeing a vague figure appearing on my body, staring at myself coldly. Brush. In an instant, the dragon flies in a shock. The heart sinks. Puff. Suddenly, a stream of blood is directly ejected. This look Longfei is wrong. I thought it was over, but I didn't expect it to just begin. There is no doubt that there is already a thought in Longfei's mind. That is, the figure that appeared in front of the eyes is the special power that the System Sister said before. I have to say that this kind of existence, that is, Lone Fei, feels shocked. Although he hasn't shot it yet, he can stand alone and can't even bombard the past with his invincible punch. Moreover, a look can make your own soul tremble. If it is a real shot, the power of terror can be imagined. At this time, the last breath of the embarrassment suddenly came to the spirit. It seems to be a straw. Hey, the devil is saving lives. This child goes against the sky, trying to take care of the holy life and set me to death. The demon emperor must not let him go. I am crying and crying. There are still some ambiguities and arrogance before. It was like a child who was aggrieved and went to the parents to complain. Lone Fei's eyes are tight, a terrible guess appearing in his mind. The demon, son-in-law. The idea came out, that is, Lone Fei was shocked. He thought about it the moment before, and when he met the saint, he just happened. I did not expect that. In a blink of an eye, it really appeared. Do you know sin? At this time, the illusory figure is open. Unreal figure, sullen eyes. But Lone Fei, there's a feeling as if the whole body is seen through. Straight in front of this person's eyes. Extremely unhappy. The saint is so powerful. The eternal life, give me a drive. Lone Fei's heart is no longer suppressed, and a pair of scorpions release the light between them, directly colliding with the goddess' eyes. Boom! Mars hits the earth. At this moment, whether it is Lone Fei or the virginity, it's all a step backwards. However, Lone Fei regressed, just regressing, and this illusion is almost collapsed. Call! Lone Fei breathed a deep breath, dull depression, and finally got released. It's really cool to kill the sage of a saint. Let's let go. The ant's body is actually dare to shoot. Nearly broken virtual shadow, Shun Shung said. Among the icy voices, there is endless anger. Saint? What about the saint? Is it hard to stand up and let you play? And then, I am giving you peace of mind? A charming face the wound, and says a thank you, Lord Ron. Going to the sage of Nyama. I am not so embarrassed. Lone Fei is not rude to look back. What about the saints? From the dragon to the earth, the system has a mission. Lone Fei has a feeling that he will be an enemy of the whole world. Therefore, who is the other party is irrelevant. Even the saints are the same. Ignorance, I was only 1,000 years ago, the atmosphere of the saints. If the saint shot, do you think you're still qualified to stand and talk? Do you think that hurting me is very powerful? If the maiden is shot, the finger will destroy you. The saint is irreversible, and you are dead. The virtual shadow said coldly. The voice is extremely angry. Obviously, for Lone Fei to dare to shoot him, even disrespectful to the saint, so that her heart is extremely uneven. Irreversible? Jokes! In Laozi's dictionary, there's no use of two words. What about saints? Blocking Laozi road, it is dead. But unfortunately, you will never see it. Give me death. Lone Fei was also provoked by the real fire. If you don't say anything, you will immediately punch a punch. Chapter 4673. Chapter 4673. Above the Lushan Mountain, outside the locked demon tower. Everyone is ashamed. There is Xiao Yuer. No one dares to leave. Xiao Yuer's words are the last night for them. Who left and who died? In this case, no one dares to move. Some people are already overwhelmed, and the pain falls to the ground, pretending to be a painful appearance, trying to inspire Xiao Yuer's sympathy. It is a pity that it is mediocrity. Xiao Yuer's heart is only Lone Fei. In the eyes, there's only the locked demon tower. As for the fish, there was a bit of tension on his face. His eyes locked the locked demon tower. Like a statue. How can the boss not come out? Is there something wrong? No. The boss is so strong. A sword will destroy the old guy of the fairy door of Lushan. Certainly there will be nothing. Liu kept talking to himself. A look of anxiety. It is at this time. A burst of empty brushing appeared. Then, it was the 9 figures that came down. Brush. 9 people landed at the same time. Directly appeared in front of Xiao Yuer. See the saint. 9 people, opening at the same time. Even if they are now a ghost, they have already made a choice. At this time, they saw Xiao Yuer, who is still very respectful. I dare not show the slightest arrogance. Xiao Yuer's face is unchanged, faintly turned, well, gently sighed, and there is no more sound, as if there is no slight feeling for their arrival. Zhong Rong and Cyan three looked at each other, and the sorrow in their hearts was even more intense. But Li et al., but they are shaking their hearts. The anger was born above the heart. The saint, I am waiting for the fate of the first. Let you go back and discuss this as the change of the day, the strategy of the birth of Xianmen. Li Yu said with a voice. In front of Xiao Yuer, although I dare not let go. But I thought about it and pulled out Yin Shaoxi directly. I don't even care about Yin Shaoxi, even if I think about Xiao Yuer. However, he is wrong. If it was before, Xiao Yuer might accept it. But now, in the eyes of Xiao Yuer, only Long Fei. Nothing else cares. I don't need to know about this thing. You are free. Xiao Yuer said indifferently. Even the face did not turn around. Li Yu. Zhong Rongxing looked at the expression of Li Yong and others who dared to speak out, and the heart secretly deserved it. Oh, take your own shame. Don't look at what the saint is doing. Do you think you can do whatever you want? Zhong Rongxi secretly passed the voice to the people around him. No, you are wrong. This is not what you want to do. This is called a tiger. I have to see what he can do today. Another person responded. Like Zhong Rongxuan, he is a person who stands firmly on the stand of Xiao Yuer. They're not the dogs that Li is jealous of when he sees the bones. Forgot who it was and gave them today. At this time, Li Yu looked at Xiao Yuer, who was indifferent, and his eyes were very gloomy. The saint, I am telling you, don't you be imprisoned by people who are on the top of the mountain today. Will you leave it to a demon? Li Yu said faintly. The sound seems dull. However, it is full of arrogance, faint as questioning. This sentence is to let the people above the Lushan mountain suddenly come to the spirit. Hit the chicken blood, one by one, and the dragon is alive. Guarding the adults, save us. The saints actually limit us for the devil. When the evil spirit comes out, we will die. Yes, the law-abiding adults, we know that this must not be the original intention of the saint. Just let us leave. We are willing to forgive the saint. A sentence directly permeated in the emptiness of Lushan. Seeing this scene, Li Yu's mouth smirked. This result is exactly what he wants. I don't believe you can still be indifferent. Li was thinking about it. Next, as long as Xiao Yuer compromised, he would let Xiao Yuer go back in the name of Yin Shaoxi. However, if Xiao Yu is still cold, he also let him go back in the name of Yin Shaoxi. But in name, it is a sin. Zhong Rong and his two people, their faces changed. Anger is breeding on the face. Gimme shut up. We talk, do you have a mouthful? Zhong Rong sighed and wanted to stop the chaos at this time. However, he still underestimated the hearts of the people. In the face of life and death, let alone be a saint, even if it is a god they cannot be in the eyes. How? Is it possible to protect our lives and deaths? Can a saint simply influence our destiny? We are the victims. Yes, we must give us an account. Suddenly, the crowd is even more turmoil. Li is in the eyes and smiles more intensely. Taking advantage of this, I quickly said, the saint, are you really confused by the demon? Want to give up the heavens and the earth? Li went further and bowed his knees. The posture is extremely low, but still can't hide it, the words and the words. At this time, Xiao Yuer was slightly frowning. Then cold turn around. How do I want? Do you still have to tell you? Xiao Yuer responded coldly. The expression is indifferent. The atmosphere is also a cold field at this moment. Between the whole world, all the sounds disappear and the needles can be heard. And in contrast, at this time, in the locked demon tower, Long Fei violently punches. After a punch, and scatter the sage of the sage, do not stop. Then immediately, another punch is made. Directly licking, the last trace of blood is destroyed. Hey, congratulations to the players to kill the ancient beasts. Get 300 points of experience, 30 points of spiritual source, 1 point of invincibility. Hey, congratulations to the players for getting blood. Hey, congratulations to the players for their strength. Hey, congratulations to the player for the power of the saint, a trace. The system sounds constantly appearing. The anger in Long Fei's heart also vanished. Looking at the experience with more than half, the eyes are shining. So, in my mind, it has emerged before the wind. That is the breakthrough, then come to the earth. Of course, the situation is urgent, and it is necessary to come early. Now, the distance is further upgraded, and the distance wind is even closer. As for the power of the dragonfly, Long Fei did not use it. This power is equivalent to nothing and no effect to him now. It is better to keep the fish. It is also good for Liu to grow up quickly. But the power of the last saint was to let Long Fei. There was a strange look in his eyes. System sister, the power of the saint. Why is there only a trace? Long Fei is very depressed. The illusion that appeared before is extremely extraordinary. Therefore, Long Fei is directly defined as the sage's avatar. So a burst of power bursts at this time. Let Long Fei suffer from extreme pain. Master, that is a trace. Don't you hear the phantom? Just a force that was left a few thousand years ago. The system girl said with a playful look. And Long Fei, his eyes are meal. Worry is emerging. Chapter 4674. Chapter 4674. This result makes Long Fei's heart very impactful. A trace of holy power has such a powerful force. If it is a true saint, how strong. Long Fei's eyes are dignified. This result directly subverts his previous decision. That is, even if he is full of firepower, it may be difficult to suppress the saints. A wipe is the saint so strong. In the heart of Long Fei, it was a shocking wave. Master, you don't have to be arrogant. Your way is the way to reverse. Everything is in front of the enemy. Is it different in your hands? This time it is the same. The system's sister voice appears. It is to cheer for Long Fei. Long Fei suddenly laughed and laughed. He was emotional, not because of fear, but to say some surprises. Even it is expected. Now things are already clear. Only the embarrassment of this sage power can be called a boss. If you don't have the power of this sage, you can count on yourself as an elite monster. And with the death of the cockroach, the entire 6th layer is empty. Everything is calm. The last layer. Long Fei's gaze must be stepping up. The 7th floor. The demon's demon is natural, and the degree of richness is horrifying. It's Long Fei, and I've never seen such a pure demon. Even Long Fei feels that if there is a demon in this space, even if you're lying down and sleeping, it will take a few years to get the road and crush the world. However, this power is useless to him. Even saying that with his power attributes, it doesn't fit. Therefore, Long Fei has no interest at all. System sister, is it possible to form a demon army? Long Fei frowned and said to the system's sister in her heart. This locks the 7 layers of the demon tower, making Long Fei instantly itch. This breath is too horrible. In other words, this is the resource. Today, he also has a system for the death of the soul, with a skeleton of the bones. Therefore, after seeing the 7th floor of the locked demon tower, an idea came out of my heart. That is, the formation of a demon army. Master, this is not realistic. But after the master conquered the locked demon tower, it was purposeful to pick a few demons, to reshape the life of them, to become the only demon between the world. The system's sister said. Long Fei shrugged, bored. This idea is just a gesture. Now I heard the system's sister said, but it feels good. Between the faint and the mind of Long Fei read elegant, and, for a time, the evil mind emerged. Master, you smile so much. At this moment, the voice of the system's sister appeared again, looking at Long Fei with a smile. In the expression, there is still faintness and shyness. Cough. Long Fei's face is red. Do business first. Long Fei shifts the topic and suppresses the whimsy in his heart. In turn, I looked at the 7th floor space in front of me. Come out, since Lousy has come here. Do you think you can hide? Long Fei's voice was cold and faint. He already felt that this 7th layer had no souls. Yes, I am afraid that there is only the towering spirit of the locked demon tower. Call. Booming. For a moment, the sound of Long Fei fell. The violent demon in the seventh layer suddenly became more violent, like a wild horse. Gradually, a black figure emerged with the help of demon. Not human, not a demon, not a fairy, no magic. What is it? The black shadow looks at Longfei up and down. Every time I say one, the mood will fluctuate a bit. Wait until the end, almost collapsed, horrified questioning. Longfei's eyes were cold. A spirit. Not good to find your own position. You dare to marry me? Longfei is cold and open. At the same time, the direct shot, the power of creation shocks. This horrible demon gas suppression directly cut off the direction of the spirit escape. But at the same time, directly reach out and pinch the instrument in the hands. After all, anyone who is jealous of someone else will be angry. What's more, Longfei? No, do not want. I just saw your fate just now. You know that there is a root in the earth, but the life is already beyond the realm. So it will be scared. I didn't marry you. The spirit is open for mercy and panic. Longfei's mood is slightly relieved. This explanation, although far-fetched, is not unacceptable. The nonsense is good to say, I originally came to lock the demon tower. Give you a chance to follow me. I will bring you a new myth. Longfei has a pun. The myth repeats itself. Then it will inevitably be a myth. Instead of bringing back the myth that has been overwhelmed. As for tailing, I don't understand. Longfei does not care. It is good. What makes Longfei unexpected is that his voice has just fallen, and tailing is directly responsible. As if all the previous things have not happened. Everything is in the water. So simple. Don't you struggle? Didn't you just mean that the monster in the tower blocked me? Longfei chuckled and said, I don't know who you are, but what is certain is that you are qualified to be my master. Tailing said, there is no hesitation. When Longfei first appeared, he had thought about Longfei. Therefore, the ability to lock the demon tower will be used, and the demon will be sent to prevent the dragon from flying. But when you see Longfei understatement, all the way, and finally the sage and the power of a saint in the body are erased. He knew that everything was doomed. The next moment, Tailing directly handed his soul mark to Longfei. In other words, from now on, the locked demon tower has changed hands. Galongfei all. Hey, congratulations to the player to get the locked demon tower. Locked demon tower. The remnant of the sacred treasures of the sacred treasures, refining the remnants of the pot, and suppressing the evil spirits. The system sounds suddenly. Looking at the description, Longfei's heart is also excited. Refining the demon pot, the wild treasures. No wonder this locked demon tower can make the system girl value. Longfei thought of it. But at this time, the words of the system's sister directly let Longfei's eyes shine. Master, in fact, I'll let you conquer the locked demon tower. It's not that the locked demon tower itself is so powerful. It said I could transform the locked demon tower. The system's sister said, renovation. Longfei said, yes, the master, the last generation system, there are still a lot of things left. Among them, there is one, which is extremely powerful. Just because the spirit of it has dissipated, it will be silent. Now, this locked demon tower, just blended with it, can transform the more treasures of the sky. The system's sister said excitedly. Obviously, I am extremely satisfied with this idea. Longfei is more and more confused. Previous generation system? Fusion locked demon tower against the god's treasure? What? Longfei asked. Wan Shenlu. The system's sister said one word at a time. Chapter 4675. Chapter 4675. Above the Lushan Mountain, outside the locked demon tower. The atmosphere is abnormally condensed, and it is extremely cold. Xiao Yuer looked like a frost in his eyes, and looked at a few in front of him. Zhong Rongxi is okay. After all, he always stood by Xiao Yuer, so Xiao Yuer's breath did not aim. But that's it. Under this area, it is still unbearable. Are you asking? Xiao Yuer has an icy opening. There's a bit of grief in the words. No, don't dare. Li is not afraid. Li Yuqiang endured the pressure of this shocking soul, endless humiliation, and gritted his teeth. If you don't dare, then roll. Xiao Yuer said that she took the momentum and said coldly, "Brush," overwhelming the soul, smashing the pressure of the heart, disappeared. Li and others waited for a sigh of relief, as if they had been away from the ghost gate. Looked at Xiao Yuer with a very complicated look. "The saint, you are strong, but don't forget. This is China. Yin Shou has ordered that you go back. I will wait for you, but I believe that there will be a way for you to go back." Li was extremely unwilling to say. He was extremely reluctant, even humiliating and angry. Because Xiao Yuer has always been peaceful, does not fight for it, never cares about the name. In addition to dealing with evil spirits, the thunder will be used. For them, performance has always been no desire, like salted fish. It is also because of this that Li Yu will show the previous arrogance and inferiority. However, he is wrong. Xiao Yuer is not angry, is too lazy to pay attention. Now, in a word, he directly touched the steadfastness of Xiao Yuer's heart. "Are you finished?" Xiao Yuer replied softly, and then turned around. "When you say it, puff." Li Yu only felt the shock of the soul. A blood spurted out of the mouth. Looking at the icy Xiao Yuer in front of me, my heart was instantly shrouded in fear. Gully said by weakness. There are horror colors in my eyes. It seems that waiting for one more minute is a torture for him. The next moment, Li Yu and others went straight to the front and went away. At this time, the momentum of Xiao Yuer's body was scattered, and his eyes returned to the locked demon tower. Zhong Yuci looked at Xiao Yuer, who stood in the void, shaking her head slightly, but she still straightened up and came to Xiao Yu, the virgin. Zhong Rongsuan is very respectful. Okay. Xiao Yuer nodded slightly. Not much to say. For her, only Longfei is now a big event. As for anything else, it can be thrown away. The saint, Yin Shou has broken through the Yuaning. Zhong Rongtsue said. After watching it, he looked at Xiao Yuer and wanted to see Xiao Yuer's reaction. Xiao Yuer's expression is a glimpse. There was a panic in my eyes. But soon, she was suppressed by her. "Oh, is a good thing. The world is changing. The aura is recovering. He can break through. For the Chinese nation, it is a good thing. For the people, it is also a good thing." Xiao Yuer responded faintly. "The saint, Yin Shou ambitious. I am afraid that he has no respect for you. If it weren't for him, Li wouldn't dare to be so daring if they ate gentian." Zhong Rong's anger said. His face was not awkward. Xiao Yuer took a deep breath. Just like a sigh. Silence. Nothing. The people I have waited for are already back. I believe that there is him. In this world, no one can force me to do things that I don't like. Even if he breaks through the Yuaning, he is exposed to the Chinese air transport and activates the legendary social artifact. Nor does it work. Xiao Yu's tone changes, like a small woman, tenderness, and the water in the throat. However, this change has fallen in the eyes of Zhong Rong and Cin. Just as scared. They always knew that Xiao Yuer was waiting for someone. I have been waiting for many years, but I still have no news. Therefore, they instinctively believe that it is a person created by Xiao Yuer. A person used to deceive Yin Shaoxi. But now, this person really appears. Moreover, they can see from the changes in the face of Xiao Yuer. Absolutely not fake. The saint that person, is it strong? Zhong Yubin asked with a bit of hesitation and asked. Xiao Yuer's eyes glimpsed. It's very strong. Full of confidence. It seems that the children are talking about what they have, and what others don't have. They're actively showing off. Zhong Rong and Cin 3 looked at each other. Obviously, I don't believe it at all, but also know that in this case, they cannot be reversed. The saint, we left first. Yin Shou is now a breakthrough, and certainly will not ignore it. You, and take care. Zhong Yuchuang said seriously. Xiao Yuer nodded lightly. Later, the three also turned away and followed Li and others. At this time, everyone below, watching the protection of one by one, quietly left. There was a despair on his face. St. the Virgin, can we leave? Someone spoke. Yeah, we are innocent. The law has been said. We are the people of China. You must not mess around, or you will take the world by storm. Don't forget, this rule is what you set. Someone started, and naturally someone started to cater to it. In the face of life and death, they have no scruples. Even the last straw is gone, and their hearts have been filled with despair. So at this time, one by one, began to stimulate with words. I want to let Xiao Yuwerer have his scruples and let them go. But Xiao Yuwerer seems to be unconcerned. If you haven't heard it, the whole scorpion melted into the locked demon tower. Also at this time, a roar. I saw the entire locked demon tower and began to tremble violently. Just like an earthquake, it starts to shake from side to side. I am dying. 2 interest rates. 3 interest rates. After the 3 interest, the entire locked demon tower directly rose to the ground, turned into a blue light, suddenly disappeared. Then a figure fell from the void. It is Longfei. Boss. Liu looked excited. The burden in my heart was finally put down. Longfei smiled and walked slowly. Cannot go past a voice, passed into the ear. Longfei, brother. Longfei stepped forward and turned his head. Looking at a trembling figure, the memory gate in my mind instantly opened. Xiao Yuwerer. Longfei's eyes are a joy. There is even a point that I dare not recognize each other. At this time, Xiao Yuwerer has long since faded away from the last time she met, and she is full of a holy atmosphere. Longfei, brother. Xiao Yuwerer swiftly swooped, as if it was difficult to suppress the thoughts in his heart, and a fierce move, directly in the arms of Longfei. Longfei's hands lifted slightly, soft and fragrant. In the heart of Longfei, there's a feeling of being incapable of guarding. It's not a hug, it's not a hug. Longfei, brother, you are finally here. I know, you'll not care about me. Xiao Yuwerer's grievances, deep thoughts, all vented. Chapter 4676. Chapter 4676. At this moment, Longfei no longer hesitated. Tightly hold Xiao Yuwerer in his arms. I am afraid that I will be misunderstood as a negative heart. Although, for Xiao Yuwerer, Longfei has never produced a relationship between men and women. However, Xiao Yuwerer can still remember himself after he squats in the sea, saying that he does not dare to move. It is all fake. For a long time, Xiao Yuwerer finally recovered calm and his face turned red, but still rely on Longfei's arms, for fear that Longfei will leave. This time, I should stay on the earth for a while, and if I leave, I will naturally take you. Longfei said, it is a comfort. Xiao Yuwerer's eyes are also bright. Really? Xiao Yuwerer is full of expectations and eagerly asks. Of course it's true. Longfei nodded, said, but also scraped a little Chiong nose like a pet. Li Fish is on the side, watching the heart fry. I am Chao, it is true. The saint is really the boss. Bob. Li Yu's heart was turbulent. He had already had speculation before. My amnesty is a saint. Li Yu's heart suddenly came up with an idea. In an instant, there is no way to stop it. More powerful than before, I saw Xiao Yuwerer in the arms of Longfei. For a time, Li Yu felt that his life had changed. If it was a salted fish before, eat it and die. After encountering Longfei, it was squid. A leaping dragon door. Life is changing. Now, look at the relationship between Xiao Yuwerer and Longfei. Li Yu feels that he is a crab, the rhythm of going sideways. A fanatical invincible boss, a saint who guards the country of China, a contemporary goddess with unparalleled strength. What kind of fear is this kind of backing? The more I want to be in the heart of Li Yu, the more excited I am. But suddenly, Li Yu's heart suddenly became tight. Boss, big brother, now is not when you are jealous of me. Pay attention to the impact. Li Yu said. Longfei's expression was a sigh of relief, and he took a look at Li Yu. Suddenly, Li Yu appeared to panic. Not the boss, but to say when you enter the locked demon tower, the Chinese country sent people. If you want to bring the big man back, you have to give a big talk. Li Yu said quickly. In an instant, Longfei's face was cold. Huagua, the eyes are cold. Yeah, boss, you don't know what the group of people was stinking. The ungrateful, white-eyed wolf. Even the one who is at the bottom of my life knows that Huagua can stand up under this world and walk before the world is completely credited. There is still a group of guardian laws. If they are not amnesty, They have the present scenery. Now that I have found a master, I'm going to bite. What a special thing. Li Fish roared. I didn't know the relationship between Long Fei and Xiaoyu before. Liu has no touch. It only feels like a fight. There is no relationship with myself. Nowadays, since I know the relationship between Xiaoyu and Long Fei, natural anger is unstoppable. Long Fei turned his attention to Xiao. What happened? Long Fei's voice has concern. Of course, don't say that Xiaoyu is not his woman. Just because Xiaoyu is his only relative in the world, it is enough to make Long Fei angry. Nothing Long Fei, brother, but the face is much more. Let some dogs have an illusion feel that they are a lion. I want to be the master of the other way around. Xiaoyu said in an understatement. A dragon flew and immediately grinned. I did not expect that I was still eager to think about it. I wish that the little woman who washed her face in tears at night would say this slightly swearing words in a blink of an eye. Hey, Long Fei brother, people just don't want you to be down because of my business. Xiaoyu snorted. Even if Long Fei didn't say anything, he also knew the meaning of Long Fei's expression. Your business is naturally my business. They are best praying there is no follow-up. Otherwise, I will clean up the portal for you. Long Fei said. The last time I met on the moon, Long Fei knew it. Xiaoyu's identity is special. Of course, this opportunity is also because I once dreamed of returning to the earth and became attached to Xiaoyu so that Xiaoyu had the future creation. Therefore, it is conceivable that after these years of change, if it is not the guardian of Xiaoyu, the Chinese nation may have already fallen apart. But now, Xianmen is born, and the aura is recovering. Let the leader of the Chinese state, once guarded by Xiaoyu, have a bit of thought. I feel that I am the tide of this era. But he never thought about it. All this is given by Xiaoyu. Since it can be given, then naturally it can be taken back. As Long Fei said, if they don't know how to play and continue to be a demon, then Long Fei doesn't mind. Clean up the portal. Do not worry, Long Fei brother. With his cultivation, there is no need to worry. Even if I got some strength, I couldn't help me. However, I also want to see if Xianmen is born, what choices will he make? Xiaoyu said. The implication is to prepare to sit on the wall. Long Fei nodded and didn't care. Then, look at the crowd in front of you. Boss, what about these people? Before the protection of the law in China, it is to take these people as the head and let Daxi give an account. Liu snorted. For these people, Liu never puts it in his heart. There is a red heart in his heart, and there is no sand in his eyes. So for these people, only disgust and disappointment. But if you kill all these people directly, Liu's heart is also somewhat intolerable. Long Fei is also slightly frowning. Looked at Xiaoyu. What do you think? Long Fei asked. After all, now Xiaoyu is still the guardian of the Chinese nation, and Long Fei also wants Xiaoyu to be embarrassed. Long Fei brother, you look at it. If they smash you, then I keep them. I just want you to shoot yourself. Xiaoyu said well. As if everything is centered on Long Fei. Long Fei's heart was moving, and some are moved. That Long Fei just wanted to speak, but the words have not yet been said. The crowd below directly blasted the pot. Women, we are still a saint. We are now colluding with evil spirits. Yes, hey, really think that you are a saint? Can you do whatever you want? Here is China. We are the people of China. Why do you convict us? If you dare to shoot us, the law will not let you go. A voice cursed and passed into the dragon's ear. Suddenly, the expression on Long Fei's face was condensed. Court death. With a heavy bang, Long Fei's eyes smothered. Originally, seeing the expression of Xiaoyu, Long Fei did not want to care about these people. Can help. Do not live because of your work. Brush. When Long Fei's eyes moved, the person who had previously opened was directly taken into the void by Long Fei. I don't need to convict you. But insulting my woman is sin. Chapter 4677. Chapter 4677 Huagua, the capital. Let's go. Gui wearer, is this really when I can override me? Yin Shaoxi's body breathed and burned in anger. Yin Shou, the virgin is too much. I even shot us directly. In her eyes, is there still a Chinese country in the end? Is there any principle? Li said with anger, and there were grievances in his eyes. Suddenly, puff, Li spouted out of blood. You are hurt. Yin Shaoxi's eyes are condensed. Li Ji is guilty of sin. Li is heartbroken and wants to persuade the saint to turn back. Just wondering, it will anger the saint. Li said, 3 points true, 7 points off. As for the rest of the people, they are naturally unaware. However, Zhong Rongcun could not stand it, and immediately screamed, Li, you are an old man. Do you still know that you are angry with the virgin? You go with a sinful affair. Who do you think you are? The saint did not kill you. It was already wrong. Zhong Rongci roared. For Li, reversing black and white, my heart is extremely unscrupulous. But never thought, his voice just fell. A few people behind Li, he immediately retorted, Zhong Wei Si, you have passed. I am waiting for the order of the first. Or do you think that the saint is already above the head of the Yang? Immediately, some people scolded. A cold face stared at Zhong Rongci. Even Yin Shaoxi. At this time, the eyes are fixed on the body of Zhong Yu. Inexplicable. Zhong Yu and Bing are so screaming that there is a feeling of death. At this time, Yin Shaoxi suddenly laughed. Zhong Yu Bing, Ding Ming Run, Zhao Jiadi, very good. The three of you are really loyal. In this case, I will give you the opportunity to make you loyal to the sun and the moon. Yin Shaoxi said. After finishing, his eyes were condensed. Brush. A murderous moment came. Hey! Zhong Rongcun and the three suddenly stepped back a few steps. Even the blue stone of the main hall was cracked. Do not! Zhong Rongci shouted. But immediately, the front is black. A great pressure directly swept the heart. Hey! 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 3 explosions, directly blasting above the main hall. The figure of Zhong Rong and Xian also disappeared completely. It was directly under the pressure of Yin Shaoxi. Suddenly, above the main hall, it is extremely calm. For a long time, Liu directly stumbled. Congratulations to the successful completion of the Yin show. Congratulations, several people behind them followed suit. Yin Shaoxi nodded with great satisfaction. You are good. As long as you follow me, I will not treat you badly. Conversely, Zhong Rongxian 3 is your end. A dog that is not obedient simply kills so as not to be an eye-opener. Yin Shaoxi said faintly. Kill chickens and monkeys. Li Yu and others are ashamed. Through my life, within 3 days, let the best of Xianmen come to see. Otherwise, the consequences are at your own risk. Yin Shaoxi said that hegemony is incomparable. At this time, Long Fei 3. Boss, Kunlun is ahead. There's no special place in Kunlun, and there is no fairy door. Li pointed to the contiguous Xianshan in front and said. Long Fei chuckled. This level exists. Not everything, but he doesn't know it. Then, Long Fei blinked and looked at Kunlun in front of him. System girl, the place we were looking for, should be after this Kunlun. It's just that this seal is a bit strange. How can I open this barrier? Long Fei contacted the system in his heart. Master, this is not a seal. It is someone who uses the supreme law, and a sword breaks the 2 worlds. And this Kunlun is the 2 sides of the world. The system's sister said, How do I get into it? Long Fei asked. This is what Long Fei is most concerned about. Can't get in. Master, I just pushed it again. Between the 2 forces, it is not yet time to unravel. The system's sister said. When a dragon flies, he blinks instantly. Can't get in? System sister, don't make trouble. If I can't get in, how can I do my task? Thinking of the consequences of the failure of the mission, Long Fei was confused. Master, people have not said that they can't get in. Now the speed of change in the world is accelerating. It will take a few days, and now the power of the seal of the world will come out. The seal will also loosen when it is time. As long as the owner finds the social artifacts of this world, he can break the seal and enter it. The system's sister said, Social artifact? A dragon flies. In my mind, the instinctive thought of the personal emperors of ancient Earth legends. Yes, master. As long as you find the artifacts, the world will be born again. the system's sister said. Long Fei was silent, although he did not know what the social artifacts of the system's sister said. But Long Fei believes that the system girl will never be unreasonable. As soon as I read this, Long Fei asked, Xiao Yuer, have you guarded China for so long, knowing where the artifacts are? Xiao Yuer looked up. Long Fei brother, do you want a social artifact? Xiao Yuer asked, a little doubt on his face. But it is full of expectations. It seems that as long as the dragon flies a little, she can't wait to get it. Seeing Xiao Yuer's expression, Long Fei's heart was happy. Ha ha ha. Actually, there is, Xiao Yuer, you are simply my lucky star. Long Fei laughed. But Long Fei's brother, now the social artifact, is controlled by Yin Shaoxi, and I feel that he has completely controlled the power of the social artifact. Otherwise, I will never be so blatantly looking for trouble. Xiao Yuer said. Yin Shaoxi, the Lord of China? Long Fei asked with doubts. Yes, he was also interested in the people before. But since he made a breakthrough, he has become acquainted with the law of air transport, and he has made rapid progress. Not only that, but with the power of this gas, I was recognized by the social artifacts. Since then, his ambition has grown. Xiao Yuer said faintly. Suddenly, my face changed. The whole person has also stopped on the ground. On the face, there is endless blame and remorse. Even the double fists are tight. What happened? Long Fei asked. How can this sudden change make up the feeling of Long Fei? Long Fei brother, my people were killed. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, they wouldn't be hurt. Xiao Yuer looked down and was full of regrets. Then, Xiao Yuer will train Li by a few people, but in the end, only Zhong Rong and Cin 3 still stand on her position. Long Fei's eyes were also cold. With a bit of fun. It seems that I am really unwilling to be lonely. In this case, I will accompany him to play. The idea of hitting my woman, I still don't know how to provoke life and death. I have to look at it. What is he cuddling? Long Fei said indifferently. Of course, there is still a sentence. Long Fei hidden in the bottom of my heart did not say. That is burst him. Exploding social artifacts. Chapter 4678. Chapter 4678. In a blink of an eye, it is 3 days. The 3 dragons directly settled on the Kunlun. What surprised Long Fei was that Xiao Yuer once again brought him a surprise. Make things out of thin air. A castle in the air, under the hands of Xiao Yuer, succeeded for a while. Long Fei brother, can we do nothing? Xiao Yuer asked. I often sigh. Apparently, the death of Zhong Rongbing's 3 people made her heart blame. No, we will wait for them to come to the door. Long Fei said, if it is put in the usual, just because of the social artifact, Long Fei will not wait a minute more. Go straight up. It is dry. But now, Long Fei is willing to wait. Because now, from the mouth of Xiao Yuer, Long Fei has already learned. Although Yin Shaoxi now controls the recognition of social artifacts. Yes, not complete. That is to say, the power of the current social artifacts is not enough to open this Kunlun world. However, this power can only be controlled by Yin Shaoxi. Despite the helplessness, Long Fei can only continue to wait. Moreover, Long Fei believes that with Yin Shaoxi's current ambitions, he must be more eager to get this power than himself. Then, I can't wait to declare sovereignty to myself. In the name of killing evil spirits, come to triumph. Therefore, Long Fei is not in a hurry. At this time, Li Yu's figure suddenly appeared, and he was in a hurry. Boss chaos. It's really messy. 3 days, Xianmin was born. Li Yu looked excited. 3 days are like a world apart. Not only in China, but in all parts of the world, those forces hidden in the legend have all been born. All over the world, they are all in a mess, and the tide is raging. However, Li Yu knows that all of this, Long Fei is indifferent. Long Fei cares only Yin Shaoxi. What about Yin Shaoxi? 3 days, I should have been unable to wait. Long Fei smiled lightly. From the mouth of Xiao Yuer, Long Fei has already guessed the name of Yin Shaoxi. You can't talk about it, but the ambitious family is more than enough. In particular, It can be seen from the fact that the other party has simply killed the three people. The ambition is great, but the city is very shallow. Therefore, Long Fei has already decided that the other party will definitely not ask for it. Boss, he said it is good. Actually, as early as 3 days ago, Yin Shaoxi made a high-profile appearance. Let all the birth of Xian men all go to sea. Dragon Tiger Gate, 7-star swords, Northeast Shaman, all went. Liu said, the total amount of sum. The corner of the eye quietly looked at Long Fei. Want to see the reaction of Long Fei. After all, this has basically exhausted all the forces of the Chinese nation. More importantly, these forces are most likely to be directed at them. Can fly not shocked. The eyelids didn't even sink. Is there only 3? There should be several forces in my perception. Long Fei asked with a smile. Hey, the boss is the boss. Not leaving home, knowing 1,000 miles. There are also a group of witches who have also been born, but they are not caught in Yin Shaoxi and can't close their doors directly. There was also the disappearance of the Lulan civilization, which also rejected the order of Yin Shaoxi. On the day of birth, it provoked the desert storm and disappeared into the world. But the most interesting thing is Cihong Jinzhai. Liu said, the more excited the more. It seems that these ancient legends have reappeared in the world, and his heart is also inexplicably excited. Great world. When the world comes, it is naturally accompanied by a big chance. The opportunity of his Liu is to recognize a boss. See, I hang Jianzhai. A dragon flies. It seems to overlap with the memory. Is there a teacher? Long Fei asked, but did not notice that Xiao Yuer beside him. His eyes suddenly jumped out of a panic, as if I was afraid that Long Fei was taken away. Boss, think more. What you said was created in a classic book hundreds of years ago, I know. How could it be related to ancient fairy gates? Liu said, but I don't know. This sentence is to make Long Fei suddenly startled. Hundreds of years? Long Fei was surprised. Long Fei clearly remembers that when the dream came back to the earth and rescued Xiao, there was not much change on the earth. How has it been so short? It has been hundreds of years. Yeah, boss, what you said is really something hundreds of years ago. Liu said. Instead, I looked at Long Fei with a look of arrogance. What I don't know is how big the impact of the sentence is to Long Fei. Ha ha ha. I was still worried that I would have delayed the ancient world because of the things on the earth. It seems unnecessary now. Time flow rate. Ha ha. The time flow of the earth and the ancient world is not in line at all. In this way, even if I stayed on the earth for a few years, there will be no big trouble in the ancient world. Long Fei's heart is ecstatic, but did not say it. After all, the current Liu is not as strong as it is. But Liu, looking at the long smiling dragonfly on his face, was secretly pondering. He immediately said, but it really has a woman who was born 3 days ago, but did not accept the invitation of Yin Shaoxi, but a people go deep into the mountains and go to the demon. Liu continued. Long Fei nodded. With the previous thoughts, it doesn't matter what women are not women. What about China? Is Yin Shaoxi ready to take the shot? Long Fei asked. I don't know this yet, but today, the 3 fairy gates that should be recruited have already left, and the direction is ours. Liu said. The expression is a little excited. Long Fei, brother, I have solved them. Xiao Yuer listened, and his body breathed. He took the initiative to ask. It seems as if I don't want to be disturbed by the silence of the present. But one was pulled by Long Fei. No, they are coming, even if they come. Some of the clowns are just jumping. It doesn't matter. When they are enough, it is the death of Yin Shaoxi. Long Fei said in an understatement, and the light in his throat flashed. Then Long Fei's eyes turned. I could give you the strength, and your current body can't bear it. Just good. I killed an ancient beast, his blood and strength, just for your use. When you close, these people will be handed over to you. Long Fei said, regardless of the reaction of the fish, the force of the blood and the sputum will be directly poured into the body of the fish. The next moment, Liu double bloody. The whole person has become very popular, and the body wants to explode in general, constantly expanding. At this time, Fang Tian passed on the power and began start. direct confrontation with the power of. And Liu, under this dual power, directly fainted. Long Fei waved with his hand, and a layer of forbidden formation was formed in an instant, holding the body of the fish in it. And Long Fei is slowly getting up. Go, they're guests. Let be the master. You have to say hello. Long Fei said, a sneer in the corner of his mouth. Chapter 4679. Chapter 4679. Under the Kunlun, a woman stood with a sword. White as like a heaven. It's just that her face is covered with a veil. Only a silhouette can be seen, and the real look can't be seen. Not bad. This person is the handed-down disciple of Sihong Jinzhai. A sword destroys the mountains, and thousands of creatures are slaughtered between the day. It should be the soul of my sword, and it will be a good thing. The woman's voice was indifferent, and she looked above the void and killed her. At this time, Xiao Yu is preparing to step out of Longshan and feel the killing in front of him. It seems that someone can't help it. Long Fei's eyes burst into disdain. This kind of killing is a drizzle for him. For him, let alone the impact, there is no reaction at all. Long Fei, brother, this person should be a person in Xianmen. Xiao Yu said. The tenderness in the eyes disappeared. Replace it. It's a killing. I'm going to kill her. Xiao Yu spoke. It is completely different from the previous bird, just like an ankle guard. Anyone who dares to kill Long Fei is his enemy. Don't worry, the monkey is not enough, and she is not the best chicken. Long Fei said, but I feel a bit ambiguous about my own words. Kill chickens and monkeys. This is the idea of Long Fei. Since Yin Shaoxi was able to smash the three people of Zhongrong and Si to stimulate Xiao Yuer and declare his authority. That dragonfly naturally will not be soft-hearted. The best way is to do the first day. I will do 15. But obviously, this person is not qualified enough. Or, it is not enough for Yin Shaoxi to feel that what is horror. At this time, the figure under the Kunlun has been unwilling to be lonely. Come forward and rise in depth. Brush. The long sword twirled, and the sword was shining. Xiao Yuer couldn't help but want to shoot. No, this strength still can't hurt me. Long Fei stopped. Then, Long Fei did not evade. He stood on the ground and waited for a sword from the woman below. You kill countless people, destroy the inheritance of the fairy door, and should be the shackles. Today, I am the sword of the mercy, and you will pass your life. At this time, under the Kunlun, the woman sipped, and the sword in his hand, at this time, finally issued an infinite sword. The sword is rushing. It was Long Fei, and there was a surprise in the scorpion. This sword, he is unheard of. Sword, the emperor of the soldiers. What you want is a kind of killing heart. I am invincible. At this moment, the sword of the woman in front of me is different from all the swords before. Among the swords, there is no sword, and there is no such thing as piercing the sky. There is no such thing as a sword in hand, a trick of ghosts and gods. The whole set of swords are full of ethereal and spiritual, as if the trajectory of the sword is volleying. This kind of sword is full of a kind of Buddha. Gradually, Jian Kai Jin Lian really formed a Buddha above the void. Heroes die. The woman is drinking. In an instant, Jianlian blossomed and the Buddha took out. Hey, one contains the meaning of endless sadness sweeping over. The thought turned around, and people actually gave birth to redemption. Between the hustle and bustle, among the dragon's pupils, it seems to be drawn by this force. The scene of the killing of the scene flashed through the dragonfly's pupil. Indirectly, in the heart of Long Fei, a self-doubt was born. As if everything has been done, there is a world of heaven. There is a dharma. Everything is sin. Call. Helium is crowded. This Buddha's sword lotus is like a mirror. The killings in the heart of Long Fei are outlined. Good rich suffocation. And sure enough, you are a demon. White woman, a light cold. The heart is also inexplicably excited. If you let the master know, I have married a great demon between heaven and earth. I am a good man, and I will be able to name the world in one fell swoop. White women thought of it. Then it is more force. Brush it. The long sword is in its hands, and it emits endless light. Among the emptiness, the soared lotus blossoms and the condensed Buddha shadows are more and more solemn. Buddha Town magic, kill! The woman shouted. Boom! The Buddha shadow is fretting, and with both hands, the wind and the endless swords are whistling. Boom! Also at this time, the real murder came. The smoldering atmosphere of the heavens and the earth is pervasive, and even the ancient mountains of Kunlun Mountain, which stood for thousands of years in China, seem to be unable to withstand the ravages of such killing. Rumble. The trees are withered and the souls are hidden. Rumble. The boulder is shaking and breaking the mountain. Around the dragon, there was a dignity in the eyes of Xiao Yuer. In particular, I feel the change of the atmosphere of Longfei, and I feel that things have changed. Dragon brother, what's wrong with you? Xiao Yuer panicked. She is convinced of the strength of Longfei. The changes that can be made at the moment are beyond her expectations. For Longfei, at this time, although the uncontrollable eruption of hernia, her heart also produced self-doubt. But only for a moment, the idea disappeared. Buddha, Longfei's heart was dull. A thick disdain and killings are born in the bottom of my heart. I sighed unfairly, and when I was suffering for me, there was no Buddha to spend me. When I am tempted to save the world, there is no Buddha to help me. When I stepped on Foshan and killed the demon with the body of the Buddha bowed. Now, come and redeem me. Do you match? Longfei smiled coldly and looked at the emptiness of the Buddha's shadow, which was faintly said. The next moment, the incredible scene happened. I saw that the sound of Longfei fell. The vain Buddha shadow is gradually illusory. Endless swordsmanship disappeared. It seems to be self-defeating. The Buddha did not dare to sin in front of Longfei. No, it's impossible. How can Buddha return? How can Folium break up? Below, the white woman looks incredible. I can't believe this scene I saw. All along, Cihong Jinzhai, adhering to the Buddha's heart like a sword, demon slayer. It is our duty to eliminate the human world. But now, even the Buddha has retired. What are their insistence? For a time, the white woman's heart retorted and the faith collapsed. And Longfei, at this moment, is also a slight move. Between the backhands, a punch banged out. Boom! Under the punch, the heavens and the earth will be clear and clear. Buddha's shadow completely collapsed. The Buddha is completely annihilated. Puff! The woman in white spits out a blood and falls directly. And Longfei is step by step. At this time, the white woman's veil went away, revealing the true colors. Longfei slammed, and his footsteps jerked. Inexplicably, the heartbeat has accelerated a few points. I have to admit that the woman in front of me is very beautiful. A kind of fairy scent that does not eat human fireworks blowing in the face. This kind of beauty is different from Xiao Yuer. Xiao Yuer's temperament is more inclined to tenderness like water. The woman in front of her eyes is Shueshan Balian. However, this is not the point. The point is that this face, Longfei, is very familiar. I am Chao, how are you? Chapter 4680. Chapter 4680, A Woman in White, is also looking at Longfei, an inexplicable sense of familiarity lingering on my mind. But more is wrong, as if I don't know Longfei at all. Longfei smiled and screamed, How long does it take to see the ancestors? Longfei said, and when this statement comes out, the white woman's eyes are suddenly brilliant. Big bad guy, it's you. The white woman is overjoyed, and the whole person is very excited. Even the next moment, jumped directly and slammed into the arms of Longfei. The look of a woman in the face of a slap in the face slammed the dragonfly. Why? Why are you coming to us now? Do you know that we have had a hard time in recent years? It's all you. If it weren't you, how could we fall to the present day? The white woman burst into tears. Xiao Yu's eyes on the side are extremely tangled, watching others spoil in the dragon's arms. Coldly, don't go too far. Longfei's face was a slap in the face, and he looked at Xiao Yu and smiled. Then he lifted the woman in front of him. Wait, I don't seem to be how you are. It seems like I'm a negative heart. Longfei said helplessly. Hey, big bad guys, when you first ridicule me, How can you see you not tired? How? Now that you have found a new love, don't you love it? The woman said, looking sad. Long Fei looked black. When a year, Long Fei wanted to explain, but when he spoke, he was interrupted by the woman in front of him. I don't listen. When you said that I was your woman, it was also cheaper for me, and it was my ancestors. Now you don't want to accept it. It's impossible, the woman said, a face of arrogance, as if to eat a dragonfly. And Long Fei, in addition to a smile, there is no other way. Xiao Wearer is not willing to show weakness at this time. Come forward. Who are you? Why do you say that it is a woman from Long Fei's brother? Dragon's brother doesn't admit it. You still have your face on your face, and you don't want to order billion. People, you have a lot of pressure, Xiao Wearer said coldly, and she didn't stay for a little. Typical jealous. And the woman in white in front of me, a slight glimpse, immediately smashed the past. Hey, now you think you are a saint? If it weren't for you, Long Fei is now a worldly enemy? You are a broomstick star, it's all you, and the dragon that flies is in the right and wrong. Now the whole country is plotting against Long Fei. Speaking, do you have it yourself? The woman responded, You Xiao Yu is mad. The eyes are full of anger. But at this time, Long Fei figure flashed and flashed directly between the two. Enough. Long Fei frowned. I feel helpless in my heart. Here, after all, it is not an ancient world. But hesitating again and again, there is still no opening. How? Overturned in the gutter? The white woman said with a smile. Let her. Some things, after all, she wants her own understanding. Long Fei said helplessly. Immediately, the words turned. It is you, Xin Yu. How did you come to the earth? Long Fei asked. In order to seek the law of returning to the earth, Long Fei has a lot of intentions. However, it was not until the condensed avenues of the ancient world that they were rewarded by the mission and returned to the earth. Therefore, Long Fei never thought about it. There will be people from the ancient world who appear here. Yes, this person is the ancient world, the small world that entered from the temple of eternal life, the mysterious jade encountered. I don't know, I was thrown into the world by the old road. It was okay when I came here. My cultivation is here. No one can threaten me at all. But then, the world is abrupt, the aura is recovering, more and more mysterious existences are born. Not only that, but my strength is also limited by this heaven and earth rules. Xin Yu said. Long Fei listened carefully and did not interrupt. And then more than 200 years ago, the head of the Chinese contemporary accidentally triggered the artifact of the Chinese community. Activate a country's air transport. The kind of breath almost annihilated me. If it was not a critical moment, my aunt tears the void. I am afraid that I am already dead. Xin Yu said. His face was scared. And Long Fei, but the eyes are bright. Your aunt is also? Long Fei's eyes were pleasantly surprised. A beautiful aunt. I was committed to being my own woman. Only later was the wrong time, and was thrown into the small world by the last master of the Yongsheng Hall. Thinking about the spark that will rub if you meet. Long Fei, laughing without a fuss. Moreover, the exception is two. Bastard, is this princess so glamorous? As soon as I said my aunt, your eyes are straight. Xin Yu said with no anger. A dragon flew and immediately chuckled. Go on. Then how did you become the person of Xihong, Jinjai? Long Fei asked. At this moment, it's no longer what the teacher is not swearing. Do not say Xin Yu. Just a beautiful aunt can replace all the fantasy of Long Fei. This is a long story. Anyway, you only need to know that my aunt got a sword in the original world. The original master of the sword has fallen, and my aunt must be guaranteed to keep their inheritance. Then we became Xihong, Jinjai. But it is strange to say that our own power is limited, but there is no sense of violation in the practice of this Xihong, Jinlian, and the rules of heaven and earth will not be controlled. Xin Yu said. Long Fei nodded. Regardless of the process, since the beginning and the end, Long Fei will not care more. Even now, the thoughts of the beautiful aunt in my mind have already overwhelmed everything. As soon as I read this, I quickly asked, What about your aunt? Xian Yu a glimpse, a pair of eyes, a look of intriguing look at Long Fei. Long Fei's old face was red, and he quickly said, "Don't think too much, because the world your aunt had been waiting for, it is very likely that it is my goal." Long Fei said, "True and false. On the one hand, Long Fei is indeed a suspicion. Xian Yu's aunt, tearing the void, is the world after Kunlun. On the other hand, thinking of such a beautiful Taoist wife, Long Fei's heart is naturally heart-wrenching." "Hey, I just believed you," Xian Yu snorted. "However, you should not be too anxious to listen, because my aunt has no choice. Now it should be embarrassed by the birth of the Chinese nation," Xian Yu said, looking at Long Fei with a smile. "It seems as if I want to see what Long Fei is doing. A dragon flies. I thought that Yin Shaoxi would send someone to target himself. Unexpectedly, I first pointed the spear to Cihong Jinzhai. As soon as I read this, Long Fei's eyes turned and looked at Xiao Yu's direction, and his heart sighed with helplessness. Turned to say, "In this case, take the initiative. I would like to see if I control the social artifacts, and I can do whatever I want." Long Fei looked cold and said coldly. Chapter 4681. Chapter 4681. Above the Kunlun, between the lush green. Xiao Yu looked at the direction in which Long Fei left, and the fundus was instantly moist. "Long Fei, brother, am I so unbearable? Still, I am late?" Xiao Yu is saddened. She did not know the past of Long Fei, nor did she know what kind of world Long Fei had experienced. However, the experience in front of her eyes made her heart unhappy. She has her own pride. She can stand the loneliness of hundreds of years and wait for Long Fei to return. But I can't face it. Long Fei is already surrounded by wives. As Long Fei said, this is a not for her. It is only by her own degree. It is also the root cause of the hesitancy before Long Fei. It is precisely because of this that Xiao Yu saw Long Fei leave, but there was no slight reaction. At this time, Kunlun, who was not shocked, suddenly fell dark. Then, the figure of a dragon flew directly in front of Xiao Yu. "Xiao Yu, let me go. Let's go to a world without others. The world, only us. We are acquainted with each other and forget the world. Create an eternal kingdom that belongs to us." The oncoming Long Fei faintly said. For a moment, Xiao Yu was paralyzed. Happiness comes too suddenly. She suddenly felt that everything was not true. However, suddenly, this thought made Xiao Yu sink in his heart. Both eyes suddenly recovered the Qingming. No. Dragonflying brother will never say such irresponsible words. You, who are you? Xiao Yu looked gloomy. Long Fei is the fortress that she insists on. She can't accept anything that humiliates Long Fei. Not to mention, some people now pretend to be flying in front of her. This seems to her to be completely awkward to Long Fei. And as Xiao Yu's voice fell, the dragon flying in front of him gradually became illusory. The whole sky was also dark and dark. Ha ha ha! It is worthy of being a holy woman of China. The repairs in the late stage of the flight are indeed extraordinary. However, before we passed on the fairy facade of the ages, it was still not enough. The power of the tower, swallow. Under the darkness of the sky, a cold voice came out. Then, the endless darkness came and instantly drowned the entire Kunlun. Xiao Yu was caught off guard and just wanted to shoot, but it was directly swept by the darkness. The next moment, the darkness receded, but there was no Xiao Yu on the entire Kunlun. On the other hand, Long Fei, who is on the road to this mysterious jade, has suddenly stopped. Looking back, I looked at Kunlun. "What's wrong? Big bad guys, can't you put down your little beauty?" Xian Yu said with a smile. In her worldview, how many women Long Fei has, she will not feel incredible. As long as you like it, you are willing to accompany Long Fei all the way. Therefore, for the existence of Xiao Yu, she does not have much mustard. Otherwise, I will not take Xiao Yu to play the fun dragon. Someone started with Kunlun. It seems that there's a lot of disenchantment on this planet. Long Fei said coldly. Well, impossible. She is also a sacred woman of the United States. It has already reached the limit of this world. How can someone dare to shoot her? Xianyu said, his face is unbelievable. How long does it take you to come to this world? The mystery of this world is far from what you can understand. However, Xiaoyuer should have no danger for the time being. I also hope that they have the courage to bear my anger. Longfei said, his eyes turned, and he calmed down. Go, keep on the road. After that, Longfei took the lead and continued on. Xianyu looked at the dragonfly that calmed down, and the beautiful face flashed a bit of peace of mind. Once the figure moved, I came directly to Longfei. Huagua, the capital. Liu, is there any news about Guiware? Yin Shaoxi asked, and in the scorpion it was like iron. Yin Shou already found out the descendant of Sihong Jinjai has already attacked Kunlun, but I don't know what happened. It seems to have a relationship with that man. The saint is therefore also angry and away. And Sihong Jinjai and the demon, but have left. Look at the direction. It should be to the South China Sea. Li said, as the control of the Chinese nation, it is naturally simple to understand the whereabouts of a person. However, what they don't know is that if Longfei doesn't want to, the people who rely on them will already be wiped out. All they can know is that Longfei intends to let them know. Yin Shaoxi's eyes flashed in the cold. Going to the South China Sea? Good. Just go all out. As long as the dogman is destroyed, I don't believe it. Guiware doesn't change his mind. After all, I can give her the respect of her mother. And I am the whole country, the whole world, the strongest man. Yin Shaoxi said. But Liu, there was a slap in the face. Yin Shou, the demon power is not weak. After all, the Lushan will be destroyed. Wheelie said weakly. The words are not finished. I have not dared to say more. Reassured, under the heavens, it is not the kingdom. I have been recognized by the Chinese national games, and there are more social artifacts. You go first. At that time, I will mobilize the national transport, drive the dragon vein, and bless you. Kill him like a dog. Yin Shaoxi said, confident. There's also a big joy in his eyes. Ha ha ha. Yin Shoingming. This battle will surely make my country famous in the world. At that time, the name of Yin Shou will naturally become the strongest representative of this world. And the saint will definitely take the initiative to send a hug. Li said, the expression is extremely charming. Yin Shaoxi also laughed at his face, as if everything was under his control. At this time, above the South China Sea, a woman in a robe was looking at the front with a dignified look. In front of him, there are 3 people. Shaman. Long Hushan. There are also 7-star swordsmen. Daogu open one by one, in the eyes cold and cool. The millennium is not born. I can't think of it. Sihong Jinjai is still there, although I don't know that you are the first generation of descendants. But it is your first generation of the Zhai. Not in front of me. Dare not be arrogant. I can let me wait for the 3 to come at the same time. It is also the way for you to sail. You are smashing your hands, or let me wait for you to give birth and send you to see Yin. Long Hushan, the Taoist dressed up as a teacher, said indifferently, yes, if you bow down to the court, I will wait for you in the future. In this big world, even if the world comes in the future, there is a head, and you can protect you safely. If you resist, that is the enemy. You are not jealous. Oh, such a tasteful Tao Gu. It's a pity to kill. If she resists, I will refine her adult animals and let me play in the future. The other 2 also said at this time, oh, the fairy door, has it fallen to the extent of being a dog? The road is different. You have to fight. But I won't let me be like you. To be a dog, it is impossible, said Dao Gu, a look of perseverance. At the same time, the Buddha dust in the hands. Buddha lotus condenses and waits for flowers to bloom. Chapter 4682. Chapter 4682 on the South China Sea. The waves are raging and the clouds are haunting, like a fairyland on earth. But at this time, the thunder wave exploded and the killing was volley. So, are you ready to resist? Oh, it seems that today is the time for me to be famous. 2. And slow hands see me destroy him. Long Hushan Taoist voice sinks, hands pinch. The fructification of the Tian men, a positive and awkward. The law of the right one, give me the town. The Taoist is cold drinking. Immediately, the entire South China Sea is in a very silent state. Just like the gods patrol, let this sky in the South China Sea, but also low eyebrows. Daogu frowned, and a thick pressure came to the bottom of my heart. This, ha ha ha, I feel it. Do you think that your midterm training is very powerful? It's a long way off. I'm going out with a law. It is for the heavens. How do you fight with me? The dragon and tiger mountain voices are arrogant. Absolute repair is an advantage, so that he has absolute confidence. There was a touch of helplessness on Dao's face. The whole body of Folian also began to die. Never bloomed, has withered. That is to say, after the dragon tiger mountain Taoist shot, she has not even had a chance to even shoot. How could this be? Even if it is a gap, it is absolutely impossible to even have a chance to shoot. Daogu's face is constantly changing. This change is beyond her expectations. Originally, even if it is not, there will never be such a big gap. This change has caused her heart to suffer. It is a foregone conclusion. The middle-aged man in a 7-star robe said, Dragon and Tiger brothers, don't stop picking up. The Tao Gu, who still has such a charm, has not tasted what it is. Shaman is a vain, a face full of gullies, the incomparably old man, a look of sinister evil. Haha, for thousands of years, the old shaman is really stinking. Long Hideo people laughed. Immediately turn around. Don't be fearless. I am in front of a law. You will lose. The dragon and the tiger are crazy and confident. At this time, above the void, the Taoist method is a natural way to sway the world. Boom! Thunder weaving the net, Tianyin ended. One after another, the power of horrific repression was suppressed against Daogu. Puff! Hey! Outside the body of Daogu, all the Buddha's swords and lotuses collapsed. And Daogu, also at this moment, spurted a blood arrow. Complete suppression. Nothing to fight. How? Cool. Don't worry, it's still cool. You are still ancient? Now, although the world is recovering, the robbery of the last law has not disappeared. Everything that is contrary to the Tao is illusory. If you put it thousands of years ago, you may still have this opportunity to fight with me. But now, there is no such possibility. Dragon and tiger people arrogantly said. And Daogu, here's a slight shock. It turns out that Daogu said slightly. Raised his face. No wonder Jianlian is not open. It has collapsed. Dao's face calmed down. The color of shock disappeared. Immediately, she looked at the dragon and tiger. The end of the robbery is still there. But do you think you are really invincible? There is no double sword lotus. Give it to me. The ant and the scorpion must be sure to emerge from the bottom of the eye. The next moment, Daogu spread his hands. The whole person is condensed. The whole person is like a long sword. Hey! The disappearing sword lotus reunited. The dragon and the tiger's face are the same. And there's a touch of disdain in the eyes. I don't want to fight. Do you want to resist? One day, thunder dropped. The dragon and tiger people screamed. Immediately, the thunderstorm riots. The power of the thunder of the road roared down. In an instant, drowned the figure of Daogu. The dragon and tiger people looked scornful, as if everything had ended, and walked to the other two. The dragon and tiger brothers are not bad at all. Under the rules of today, there is such a strong Tao. It is not a problem to follow the yin show and enter the fairy world, said the shaman. Ha ha ha. Old shaman, you are not the same. We have been immersed for thousands of years. Isn't that the day? Said the 7-star sword master. Immediately, the three laughed and were very proud. As if between heaven and earth, they're already the highest group of people in the pyramid. But at this time, a popping sound appeared. Boom! The endless thunder is smashed, and a figure reappears between heaven and earth. I saw countless swords and lotuses screaming light, a statue of Buddha standing on the sword lotus. Even more terrifying is that these Buddha shadows are in the hands of the sword. If Long Fei is here, I am afraid that it will be a big surprise. Buddha, in his mind, has always been synonymous with solemnity. Even once in the small world, I have seen the Buddha demons. Long Fei has never seen a Buddha who has a long sword. If you say that King Kong is glaring, the Buddha is in the palm of his hand, and Long Fei believes. It can be said that the Buddha's sword and is somewhat guilty. Of course, the most shocking thing at this time is the three people of the dragon and tiger. Impossible! This law already has the power of immortals. Even if it is a real fairy, it does not dare to resist. How can you reverse the rules of the law? It is impossible. The dragon and the tiger are roaring, and the seal in the hand is constantly being squeezed. Amadei boom, printed in shock. A giant palm fell from the void, directly bombarded the body of the Buddha, holding the sword. But at this moment, a more strange scene happened. Above the swords of the sky, the Buddha's sword in his hand rang. A wave of sky, rumble. The giant palm directly dissipated. But this is not the end. Immediately afterwards, the Buddha's sword was turned and directly stabbed to the dragon and tiger. Not good. Long Hideo people shouted. The gods fit, boom. Hey, countless swords are directly on the dragon and tiger, so that the dragon and tiger people directly rubbed the endless fire, just like the real sword is falling on the body. Very terrible. In particular, the dragon and tiger people are more rebellious, and the whole person has been riddled with holes. A blood hole, like a sieve in the body, a blood arrow spewing out. On the side, the shaman lord and the seven-star sword master and two faces also gave birth to a terrible look. How can this be? How could this be? So what happened? The two looked awkward. Look at the dragon and tiger people who are wearing Wanjian. It is like dreaming. The moment before, they were still arrogant and winning. However, in a blink of an eye, death and death. Inadvertently, the sword's shadow dissipated. Above the void, the figure of the Tao Gu is even more crisp, holding a sword in one hand, carrying the blue sky. Simple sword of mercy, you can't beat you. Then I used my sword and used the Buddha under my sword to marry you. Daoga said. At the same time, the body's breath suddenly changed, and the cultivation was sharply increased. Chapter 4683. Chapter 4683 Super League. Suspended in the palace. It is Huagua. Is this China wanting to go against the sky? There have been people who have been born before, and there is a mysterious force that has passed through thunderstorms. Now, someone has touched the rule power of the world. Don't anyone in China have touched the fairy in their mouth. In the War League, the leader of the War Alliance, Cruz, said in a gloomy manner. Immediately, there was a super warrior who came forward. Yeah, the leader can't wait any longer. It is time for us to start the resurrection of the gods. Otherwise, the Chinese side will become a bad tiger sooner or later and swallow us. Yes, it is already imminent. I have already felt that Satan is already recovering and the shackles from have already spread the earth. As long as we gently fiddle and open the last layer, the era that belongs to our Super War Alliance, it will come completely. Someone said, in the words, I look forward to it. The eye of desire has already burst into endless heat. As if I can't wait. Cruz looked at his eyes and snorted. Okay, but to start the recovery of the gods, we must be prepared for both things. We must be fidelity. This kind of power is in our hands. I don't want to. The gods are born. We all become slaves. Cruz said. This sentence won the approval of everyone. After all, they are the lucky ones of this era, awakening superpower. Therefore, nature is not willing to be a slave to the gods. What they think is just to make the gods their power and use them for them. However, what they don't know is that when they really open the door to hell, everything they do is a fantasy. Of course, this is something, and in the Western Alliance of super gods. At this time, it is also a shock. It is also China. Is this China forcing us to revitalize the culture of the gods? A super player said, if Long Fei is here, I will feel it and it will be shocking. This one, he's too familiar. There used to be a presence he had summoned in the ancient world. This super alliance is simply a representation of the League of Legends. No, this is terrible. What is Huagua? It is a matter for China. As long as China does not affect us, it will not confuse the peace of the whole world. We should not call the god. After all, our aim is to guard, not to invade. Immediately, another super god team member said, "Besides, don't you think that reviving the gods is itself a way of digging a grave?" The team member continued to speak, in the eyes full of panic. "It seems to be a very terrible thing. Brush." In an instant, everyone was silent. It seems that it is time for people to get in touch with the Chinese side. The captain of the league said openly. The face is very calm, with a touch of awe. Of course, even the Super League and the Super League are so strong. Some other systems of recovery in the world have reacted more strongly. In their view, China has become a decisive factor, influencing their ability to settle down. Then, under the world for a while, the dark tide was surging. The line of sight turns again, and the dragonfly flies. Longfei is not aware of the changes in the world now. Of course, just know and don't care. After all, this is not the same. In the face of absolute power, all the trails are chickens and dogs, and they're vulnerable. At this time, Longfei and Xuanyu are already close to the South China Sea. Suddenly, Xuanyu stepped into a footstep. Not good, it is the breath of my aunt. Xuanyu's face became pale in an instant. Longfei is a glimpse. What happened? Now that I have arrived in the South China Sea, is there a breath of your aunt? Isn't it normal? And your aunt's current momentum is amazing. It is already fighting, and there is an absolute advantage. Longfei said, although there is no esoteric power to perceive. But for the breath of Xianyu's aunt, Longfei can still understand. After all, nowadays, the atmosphere of the Buddha's sword lotus is overwhelming, and there is no way for Longfei to feel it. Xianyu, but it is crazy to shake his head. No, I'm talking about my aunt's own strength. That is to say, my aunt has touched the rules of this era of law. Even if the world is recovering now, the rules of the end of the law are about to dissipate, but that is enough to make the aunt deadly. Xianyu said quickly, very nervous. The expression of Longfei is also a moment of condensation. Xianyu said before that they are unable to use their own power on the earth, and can only use the earth practice. Otherwise, it will be targeted by the power of the last law. That is to say, now that someone has shot and forced your aunt to use his own power, has it attracted the attention of the end of the law? Longfei asked, and his eyes were full of dignity. Yes, big bad guys, fast, you must save your aunt. This law power is too horrible. Must save my aunt. Xianyu was nervous to pull the arm of Longfei, full of pleading. Reassured, Xuanzang is my woman. My woman, let alone the power of the last law. Even if it is a recovery, no one can move. You are waiting for me here. Longfei put away the contempt, and at the same time inspired the inner sorrow. Between the steps, go across the void. At this time, Daogu is also Xuanzang. There have also been amazing changes in the body. The breath of compassion disappeared, and the face was constantly changing. The traces of the years quietly receded. If she said that she was a middle-aged woman who still has charm. So now, it's just a young woman I see. Between the gestures, they are full of charm. Beautiful face, cold atmosphere. Alone in the world, carrying the loneliness of the sky, making it like a blooming between the heavens and the earth, a unique ice flower. Let people shudder. This is not the power of the earth. You are looking for death. Although the rules of the end of the law have dissipated, the foundation is still there. Anyone who dares to touch will lead to a fight against death. You are dead. The shaman and the seven-star leader finally realized what it was. In the midst of horror, I am constantly regressing. But on the face, there is a hint of excitement. As if Xianzang at this time, in their view, is to find their own way. As long as she dies, they will be safe. Finally, the dragon and the tiger are dead, and they die. They don't care more about it all. On the void, Xianzang frowned. Feel the more and more horrible pressure on the top of the head, like the sword hanging in the sky, Death is coming. If I have already used it, I won't care. At least, it's easy to annihilate you before this rule comes. Xinyu said coldly, stepping out one step and sweeping out a sword. Chapter 4684. Chapter 4684. The sea and the sky meet, and the dark clouds are under pressure. Gloomy, murderous, covering the heavens and the earth. As if some kind of existence has already angered the sky to cleanse and clean. Xian Zhang's heart is clear. The power of the end of the law comes. In a thought, Xian Zhang's heart appeared a bitter bitterness. If she can, she does not want to use this power. However, her heart is clearer. If you do not use this means, falling into the hands of these people, the result will be even more miserable. She is absolutely not allowed. I have nothing to worry about. Even after death, there is absolutely no one to be embarrassed. Therefore, even if it is the unblocking and repairing, triggering the power of the last law, under this power, the smoke is gone. She does not want to. There is any trace of possibility falling into the hands of these people. Take a desperate attempt to fight. And no one knows at this time Xuanzang's heart, but there is no fear. There is no such thing as unwillingness. In the mind, the only flash, only one figure. A overbearing and rogue figure. Dragonfly, Xian Mouth whispered. Immediately, there was a touch of tenderness in the scorpion, as if has been deeply caught in the cage of memory. But soon, this expression on Xuanzang's face disappeared. Instead, it is a slap in the face. Reassure, even if you haven't become your woman, I will never let others have any chance. Even if it is dead, even if it is a ghost, I am willing to hold the last thoughts for you. Xianzang is determined in his heart, and once again, he has no expression, only killing and sword meaning. The shaman and the 7-star swordmaster, the two were panicked at this time. This overwhelming pressure has made them full of tremors on the flesh. Powerless support instinctively wants to fall to the ground, especially now, coupled with Xianzang's Buddha sword. It is a deadly threat to them. Hey woman, you want to die? But also pull us to bury. Take the power of the last law. You are looking for a dead end. Go! The two screamed. I didn't dare to stay at all, and I turned and fled. Yes, it is at this moment. Xuanzang moved, the golden lotus of the Buddha opened, and the statue of the Buddha was reappeared. Want to go? Forcing me to unravel my own cultivation and motivate the power of the last law. Do you still want to leave? Let's die together. Xuanzang gave a cold drink. Immediately, a sword fell. Brush the brush. Jingguang is skyrocketing and falling. Every Buddha's hand controls the long sword, like a warrior resisting evil in the world. The shaman and the 7-star swordmaster are very surprised. Panic shot. The law of creation, the sky, is empty. 7 stars every day protect my sword body. The two immediately shot. I don't dare to hide in private. It's the strongest means. Boom. In an instant, a natural barrier appeared, giving the two bodies their support. There's also a starlight that comes down in the daytime, and blessing is above this barrier. The sound of numerous blade collisions appears, booming the world, and the entire barrier under this power is also peeled off layer by layer. No, this woman is desperate, Mom. She is crazy. The blood is the guide, everything is used by me, and I am blocked. The shaman leader spurted out the blood of one bite, spelled out the old life, and applied the shaman's method. Brush the brush. In an instant, everything around them, plants and creatures, all turned into the source of life and integrated into this barrier. The 7-star sword master did not dare to idle, and the sword in his hand flashed, attracting the power of 7 stars. 7-star swing, give me a stop. Brush the brush. The 7-star sword light flashed, turned out, and in the hands of Xuanzang, Buddha Jinlian paired together. Booming. Rumble. Rumble. Countless swords are raging in the void, and the whole South China Sea is also boiling. Like a small nuclear explosion, the horror is incomparable. A large expanse of seawater was stirred for 9 days before falling. Fortunately, This change only lasted for a while and disappeared. Without it, but because of the power of the end of the law coming. The first to bear the brunt is Xuanzang. The endless Buddha shadow collapsed at this moment. In Xuanzang, under the suppression of the power of this horrible law, the body is soft and falls from the void. In the distance, the shaman and the seven-star sword master look at each other. It is the rest of a life. Mom, fortunately, the power of this law is coming in time, or will be killed by this woman sooner or later. The shaman is roaring, and his face is full of hate. It seems that just in the first battle of the debut, I was so embarrassed that I was very upset. The seven-star sword master is also the same. Looking at the seven-star sword in the hand, all over the crack, the whole heart is bleeding. Oh, I hope he can survive under the power of the last law. At that time, she must be allowed to survive, and she must not die. The seven-star sword master said coldly, "Oh, she can't live. Even if she really survives, I will let her want to die." The shaman leader said, the light of sinfulness in the eyes was released. After all, before, Xuanzang did not unravel and repair, but the charm still exists. Now, return to the true self. More beautiful is not a square. However, what the shaman does not know is that this sentence directly became his last words. At this time, a figure rushed into the boy's eyes, and his eyes fixed on Xuanzang, who fell from the void. This figure is Long Fei. The power of the last law? Earthquake anger? Long Fei mouth speaks to himself. Looking at the pressure above the void, his eyes are condensed. However, there is no urgent need to shoot. Instead, I looked at the shaman and the seven-star swordmaster. In an instant, the shaman and the seven-star leader have a gaze. Between instinct, the feeling of a dead end in the heart. "Kid, who are you?" The shamanic lord forcibly suppressed the panic in his heart and said, and Long Fei, but silent, just step by step, until the distance between the two is only 100 meters. Long Fei stopped. "On your own, dare to marry my woman? What are you counting?" Long Fei chilled. "Your woman? Boy, who are you?" The main face of the seven-star sword is also a change. The seven-star sword is shaking. "Don't worry, it's just an instant to pack you up. But now, I have to save my woman first. Open your dog's eyes. Move my woman, even if it is heaven and earth. Lao Tzu can give him a broken sky." Long Fei said faintly, and the figure flashed. Once again, it has appeared in the side of Xuanzang. Unbiased, hold the fallen Xuanzang in your arms. The next moment, Long Fei reversed his hand and held Xuanzang. "How? I haven't fulfilled my promise. I just want to leave it." Long Fei smiled and looked at Xuanzang. Xuanzang a glimpse, as if a nightmare, full of surprises. However, Long Fei ignored it and whispered, "If you are grateful, I will say it later. I am taking you, killing the punishment. Give you out." After that, Long Fei stepped out and stood upright. Chapter 4685. Chapter 4685. Arrogant. Disdain. Contempt. At this time, it is the best portrayal of Long Fei. Understated. As if to destroy the power of this law, for Long Fei, it is a child's play. What is even more unexpected for Long Fei is that Xuanzang is a bitter smile at this time. Is this hallucination? Sure enough, people are right. Before you die, you will see your favorite person. However, it is enough. Xuanzang smiled bitterly and touched the face of Long Fei with a look of disappointment. Long Fei is also silent for a while. At least, in Long Fei's opinion, it's just right. Just open the invincible mode. Let your own woman see their own tyranny. Unexpectedly, Xuanzang actually regarded everything as a dream. "Xiao Dao Gu what? Now I still want to be stupid?" Long Fei said with a funny face. Xuanzang a glimpse. Both eyes are straight. Unbelievably watching Long Fei. "You," Xian grinned with both hands, crying without money. Long Fei's heart is soft, just open to comfort. But before I even had time, I realized that the distant shaman and the seven stars had wanted to come back. Dragonfly mouth, pick one. Xuan Yu, release your breath, directly lead the day to the robbery. I will solve it together," Longfei said casually. At this time, just after the arrival of Xianyu, but immediately saw the direction of the shaman and the 7 stars and people fleeing. It's clear in an instant. The next moment, outside the body of Xianyu, direct aura surge. Immediately, Yuan Ying, Hua Shun, Fei Sheng then directly broke through, and another realm of legend. As for the extent to which it is, there is no exact definition of Longfei. And Longfei also understands that Xuanzang has unsealed his own cultivation, but at the beginning, he was targeted by the power of the last law. Otherwise, there's a full strength to kill 3 people. Rumble. In an instant, the power of the last law reappears. However, what makes Longfei feel unexpected is that the force of the last law that shrouded the top of Xuanyu's head was severely shrunk. With Xuanzang, it is not at all level. Moreover, with the force of the end of the top of the Xuanyu head, the power of the last law that shrouded the top of the Xuanzang head, in an instant also diluted a lot. Okay. Longfei frowned. This change has a terrible guess in his heart. But now I can't manage that much. At this time, with the reactivation of Xuanyu, the power of the end of the law, the whole boy, was completely shrouded in dark clouds. Extremely strong pressure, falling down the nest, terrible. Longfei no longer hesitates to put Xianzang down. Oh, wait for Laozi to destroy the power of this law and take you back to the cave. Longfei laughed, and Xuanzang, his face is instantly red. In my mind, I also thought of the picture of Longfei's overbearing kiss, and the moment suddenly stirred up in my heart. Look at Longfei. Already skyrocketing, dry land, picking up onions. Between the jumps, stepping on the void directly, standing in the middle of 2 pieces of the final power. Boom! In the end of the law, the thunder bursts. The bang continues. It seems that he is completely angry because of the provocation of Longfei. In the next moment, the 2 final powers come together to create a more terrifying pressure. Overwhelming. The dragon's face is condensed, and the body of the 4th grade is instantly stirred up. Booming. Xuanguang vented. A thunder beam of light descended directly from the sky and instantly bombarded the body of Longfei. Can Longfei simply do not agree? The whole person faced the thunder and robbed the thunder and did not evade. Hey, hey, hey. The endless thunder is wrapped in the power of annihilation, and the dragonfly is drowned in an instant. This kind of breath makes the world a place to be. Xianzang and Xianyu are in a panic. Dragonfly, bastard. Both of them spoke at the same time and couldn't wait to enter it. But still not moving, the same flash in my mind, the sound of Longfei directly came in. I'm fine, don't worry. I am thinking of ways to absorb the power of the end method. Longfei's voice fell on the hearts of both. In an instant, the 2 people made a mistake. It seems as if I heard the Arabian Nights, refining the end of the power of law. Hey, aren't you kidding? Both are shocked. This kind of fatal force for them is how to get into the dragon's mouth. It becomes a fast food, and it is absorbed by washing hands. Big bad guys, it really is a big metamorphosis. I knew it at the beginning. Now I see it, sure enough. The boulder in the heart of Xuanyu put down and said, Xuanzang is silent. From the mouth of Xianyu, she could not feel the feelings of Xianyu on Longfei. But she herself can't put up with Longfei. However, what is the ant? How shame this feeling? However, Xuanzang also knows that this kind of thing is not something that can be considered now. Below, the shaman and the 7-star swordmaster do not know. Just when Longfei was overwhelmed. In the eyes of both of them, there was a touch of fineness. It's really looking for death, the power of the last law, the road to the heavens and the earth, how stalwart, the power of one person wants to resist hard. Look for a dead end. Yes, he is dead, but now, these 2 women are also threats. With your current means, you are not an opponent. The 2 said relatively. Go! The green hills that are staying are not afraid of burning wood. Yinsho has already told me that the communicator has indicated that Li has already brought the blessing of the national games. When Li is coming, they will die, said the shaman. This point, the 7-star sword master is extremely recognized. The two can take a shot, take advantage of this gap, turn and leave. But the two of them have long been locked in Xuanzang. How could it be easy for them to leave? At the moment when the two figures were moving, a touch of Jianlian was born without a chance, directly blocking the two people. Immediately, a Buddha held a sword and stood in front of two people. The two men squinted and blew directly. What they don't know is that at this time, in the center of the storm, Long Fei was forced into the body by the power of the last law, but did not stop it. Even in the hands, I also directly took a force and put it in front of my eyes. System sister, this power, really what you said so strange? Long Fei asked. Yes, if it is not the system girl, Long Fei will definitely blow with the power of the last law. Whereas the waste of so much time wasted here. It was because of the prompts of the system sister that Long Fei paused. Master, believe me, this power is unprecedented. I have a feeling that if this power can be used properly, in the future, even if it is the supreme plane, it could become a fundamental foundation for the master's foothold. The system sister said. Long Fei glimpsed, did not think of it, but also have this opportunity. At this point, he just felt that the body was already filled with this power. Everything is full, and all of them are abundant. The acupuncture points and veins are also full. Just as Long Fei thought that at the end of the day, there was a hunger in Dantian. Immediately, a force of swallowing, autonomous operation directly break through Dantian, sweeping through the void, facing the root of the power of the end of the law, whales swallowing the sea. Chapter 4686. Chapter 4686. This moment is the real breakthrough of Long Fei's cognition. A wipe, the system sister, what is going on? Long Fei exclaimed. The power of Dantian. Since the last time, the creation of Songxing Avenue, the declassification of the character of the eternal life, Dantian will be silent. In the words of the system sister, it is self-evolving. When the evolution is completed, it will inevitably horrify the world. But now, Dantian took the initiative to swallow the power of this law and really let Long Fei be shocked. What Long Fei didn't know was that at this time, with the power of the end of the law, he was swallowed up. Between the original world and the earth, it has already been extremely rich in aura, and it has been raised several times in an instant. It is as if the mythological era is coming back, booming. Not only China, but the whole world. In a number of unknown areas, a loud bang broke out. Immediately, a mysterious and powerful figure reappears. On the Chinese side, the change is the biggest. Countless people broke through at this moment. The rich and the ultimate aura is directly poured into the air. Even people who have no spiritual talents have been baptized at this moment, and their illnesses have been removed. Huagua, the capital, Yin Shaoxi, is in retreat. Yin Shaoxi, who is merging the power of the social artifacts, suddenly opened his eyes. Booming. The land is moving and the national movement is rising. Well, this is the power of the last law. Disappeared? Ha ha ha. The ancient times are finally coming. I have a national movement. I am the owner. I have a social artifact. Who else can stop my steps? Ha ha ha. Now I am the owner, and after that I am the Lord. Yin Shaoxi is extremely proud, crazy laughter. However, he did not know that at this time, the law disappeared, and the heaven and earth returned to the people behind the ancients. That is, he was desperate to kill. At this time, Dantian is no longer swallowed up, just like eating and drinking enough. The door is closed, and the silence is once again. But this is not the end. Just when Long Fei thought that everything was over, the change is sudden. The sound of the system reappears. Hey, the system has detected a swallowing scent. Please ask the player whether to swallow it. The sudden sound of the system sound makes Long Fei a little bit awkward. System sister, what is going on? Is the system going to be upgraded? Long Fei asked and asked, because before, the system prompts only detects the power that can be swallowed, but it did not say which one is unique. Therefore, Long Fei instinctively believes that this is the power of the system itself. No, master, through perception, I have a message to tell you. With my awakening, the whole supreme is inevitable. There will be no more intervention for this system. That is, the system will not be upgraded. The system's sister said. Directly put an end to the fantasy of Long Fei. Long Fei slightly whispered, and his heart was a little disappointed. Originally, I was thinking about another killing upgrade system. When I punch one by one, I directly seize the other side. That is really cool. However, the words of the system's sister directly cut off his thoughts. So, what is going on? The system also needs the power of this law? Long Fei asked. Some can't believe it. In his cognition, the system is omnipotent. The only time, it is only the system restraint by longation. For active demand, it is unheard of. Master, I just deducted the system. This power is the system needs, but it is prepared for the master. The system's sister said. Ready for me? Long Fei looked awkward. The fierceness of Dan Tian, just now, is that Long Fei himself was shocked. As for the fact that Dan Tian has swallowed up the power of the end of the law, Long Fei himself is not clear. The only thing that can be affirmed is that there is little leftover power on the planet. Today, the system is still preparing for itself. The system is to be a household. Long Fei thought of it. And at this time, the system's sister said again, Yes, master, this is the system for you. Don't you think that the skills you control now are a little less? Invincible punches 2 kings of the kingdom and the sword of the devil. Even if you add 2 passive skills to the sword, there are too few means. The system's sister said, some helpless. Long Fei's expression was a meal. Indeed, although his means are strong, he is basically a second enemy. But relatively speaking, this is also based on absolute strength. If it is the same as the drum, the means is a little thin. And the words of the system's sister also let Long Fei come to the spirit. You mean this power is derived from new skills? Long Fei tentatively said. The system girl nodded. Devouring. Turning around, Long Fei responded directly to the system. Since it is a condensing skill, no matter what it is, the opportunity to send it to the door, Long Fei cannot refuse. The next moment, above the entire void, once again swept a swallow. This time, it makes Long Fei feel clearly. The final power of everything is directly swallowed up. Hey, congratulations to the players, condensing new skills and final sanctions. The last lost sanction, according to the player's cultivation, the enemies in the scope are weakened. Cooling time, refresh in the early morning. Description, the power of the last law can suppress the enemy to a layer and has a 30% chance to explode 3 layers of suppression. If the player activates the end of the flesh, he will suppress the enemy's 5 layers. Shock, shocked, shock. At this moment, Long Fei felt that his breathing was getting too fast. Achow, so abnormal? The whole skill, let Long Fei go from top to bottom, I feel 2 words. Metamorphosis, naked metamorphosis. In the mind, Long Fei directly emerged from the scene. That is in the battle, his own Tangtian breath, the skills out. I was still violently pretending to be in front of myself, and I was instantly suppressed by 5 layers. I fell in front of myself. This feeling, think about what you have to do. Moreover, this has changed. If it is really time to inspire this kind of power, then even if it is higher than the 2 stages of its own, Long Fei has the confidence to kill. The earth is really a mother. You are too fond of me as a wanderer from afar. Ha ha ha. So, I have to see how sacred the saints of the heavens are. Long Fei thought in his heart, more and more violent. At this time, the power of the end of the sky disappeared directly. Even if it is suspended above the head, the power that comes down is also swallowed up by Long Fei. The next moment, Long Fei gaze directly locked the 2. In an instant, the 2 eyes narrowed, such as smashing ice. You, what are you doing? I tell you, we are the people of Yin Shou. If you dare to move us, it is against the sky, that is, against the people when it is time, It is all the enemy, the shaman said madly. At this moment, the shadow of death has been shrouded in their hearts. And Longfei, but did not agree. Exactly. Use yours to prove it. What is this skill? Sanctions out. Chapter 4687. Chapter 4687. Longfei is indifferent. Step out and appear before the two. At the same time, if there's a breath of nothing, as Longfei moves, it begins to float outside the body. In the hands of Longfei, there's also a glimmer of gray flames. In the distance, the shaman and the 7 stars and 2, seeing the moment of the flame in the hands of the dragon, the footsteps unconsciously retreat. This the power of the last law. How is this possible? How can this power be used? Who are you? The 7-star sword master screamed and screamed. At this moment, fear has completely shrouded his heart. Powerless to resist, unable to struggle. Must I? A kind of negative emotion has become a voice in his consciousness. In the face of such a dragonfly, he always has a sense of disobedience, as if he is a cockroach ant in the provocation of the dragon. Not only him, but also the shaman. On my repair, no, the shaman's leader screamed in horror. I saw that his body had been spread by the gray flame at the moment. The whole person is like crazy, jumping up and down, trying to get rid of the flame that is wrapped around him. However, it simply does not help. Only in an instant, the flame burned directly from the body to the linked eye, then directly fell into the soul. And his cultivation is also in this moment, bursting. In the late stage of the flight, the mid-flying period, the early stage of the flight, and in the end, the freeze is in the incarnation stage. Similarly, the 7-star sword master has not escaped the weakened destiny, repaired to a straight line, and finally set it at this level. And Longfei, in his eyes, burst into a light. 3 floors. Inema directly dropped 3 repairs as a grade. Rather than weakening the force by 30%, Longfei was forced, immediately in the heart, bursting with a sizzling heat. This result is too crazy. Far beyond what Longfei thought before. 3 layers and 3%. The difference between words is already a different day. This difference is most obvious when it comes to the current level of Longfei. Because now Longfei, every time you break through a level of repair, the combat power is multiplied by multiples. Therefore, weakening the 3 levels of cultivation is a fundamental difference. Thinking of this, Longfei's heart is also accelerating. Under the sky, this special thing is really the power of the sky. What power of the wild, what the power of the blood, in front of the end of the law, are slag. Longfei thought of crazy. The next moment, Longfei gazed at the turn, watching the shaman and the 7 stars and people squatting on the ground. The expression of fear is not as good as death. The heart is boring. Xuan Yu, handed it to you. Don't be afraid of anything else. The power of the end of the law is already in control for me. Using all your power directly, killing it. Longfei said faintly. Well, the big bad guys are optimistic. This girl is not the original. Xinyu gave a light drink. Immediately repaired into an outbreak. The horror of the atmosphere condensed on her, suddenly moved. Fall directly in front of 2 people. Then the palm fell. Puff! The shaman leader was directly opened by Xinyu. Even if they're all dead, both eyes are straight and dead. It seems that I'm still scared. Why do I face the dragonfly? My own repair will instantly collapse. No, you can't kill me. I am the guest of China. I am the leader of the immortal. Now, the power of the last law has dissipated, and Sun Yin Yin can open another world through the social artifacts. And in the other world, there are my predecessors. If you kill me, by then, the world will not have your place. The 7-star leader threatened. At this moment, he was really scared. The shaman is the master of the past. Therefore, he can only threaten. However, this threat is too pale and powerless. Not to mention Longfei, that is, Xinyu has not put this threat in the eye. Speaking so much nonsense, Do you know that the power of the last law is gone? If it weren't for the power of the last law, would this girl have to suffer for so many years? Give me death. Xianyu simply made a sound again. The seven-star sword main pupils gathered together, unable to drive the sword in their hands to resist. But too funny. The mysterious jade that has been repaired has been unblocked, and the degree of terror has already exceeded this world too much. Not to mention that now, the seven-star sword master who died in the heyday is just a joke. Now it's even more awkward. Hey, a palm falls. The main arm of the seven-star sword crashed, and even the seven-star long sword broke into pieces. However, Xianyu did not want to stop here, and between the backhands, he took another hand and forced the face of the seven-star sword master. However, at this time, in addition to the distant void, a bright yellow light suddenly swept across the palm of the hand, and the seven-star sword master was firmly guarded. The thief stopped. A burst of drink came from afar. Immediately afterwards, Liu and 3 Yuan Ying's offerings appeared on the boy. Longfei looked faintly in the past. At this time, these people, everyone has an excitement and killing in the eyes. Even now, I can't wait. Especially Liu, it is a kind of authority in hand, the expression that I have in the world. A good, arrogant Sihong Jingzhai, you know? You've already fallen into a great disaster. Do you dare to kill the Lord of the Immortals? Don't you know that the aura has recovered? Is it the world of the people? Li was cold, and he was condescending. The perfect interpretation of the is the peak. Dog things this girl wants to kill, is it that you can stop? People? That is your master. What about this girl? Get out of my way. Xianyu is also a look of anger. With a wave of his hand, he waved out. However, the next scene, but the black and white flower clips. I saw this palm, as if hitting the iron wall. It was a loud noise, and she herself was even more shocked by the power of this earthquake. Even the tiger's mouth is shaking. Xianyu's face changed. How is this possible? Exclaimed. Xianyu's eyes are full of incredible. The gap in the cultivation is so that Xianyu can confidently kill everyone. The result is unexpected. Ha ha ha, not self-reliant. The power of the Lord is what you can imagine. The power of the national movement. Is your strength able to resist? One leaf blind, whimsical. Li was said in a cold voice. Then I looked at the seven-star sword master. The sword master. Now, I will bless the power of the national transport to help you kill the evil spirits. Liu said, carefully spread the palm of his hand. Immediately, a touch of yellow light flew directly from his hand and fell into the body of the seven-star sword. Boom! The next moment, the momentum of the seven-star sword master skyrocketed. Extremely majestic and heavy. It seems to carry the will of the whole world. Heavy pressure, the volley rises. As if at this moment, his will can influence the people. Chapter 4688. Chapter 4688. The whole world has become gloomy. The seven-star sword master jumped into the sky, and a mighty anger radiated from his body. Brush the brush. The light of the seven stars descends from the sky. The light is shining. Hey! A more horrific scene also occurred at this time. I saw that the seven-star sword that had been broken had been reorganized. Moreover, under this radiant radiance, the atmosphere becomes more violent. As if the seven stars were born in the world, the glory of the world. In the distance, Xian Zhang's eyes panic. The face became extremely embarrassing. It seems that under this breath, it is also very uncomfortable. Longfei's face is a condensate, and between the sound and the sound, the body breaths, directly blocking Xianzong behind him. Then he reached out and pulled the figure of Xuanyu. Dragonfly. Bastard. The two women were heavily open, and their eyes were full of caution. Don't worry, there is me, Longfei said faintly. I don't even care about it. Even with this kind of power, let the seven-star sword lord have the power to crush Xuanzong, but this does not mean that it is a threat to Longfei. Even the shackles of the power of the saints are vulnerable to the battle of Longfei. This is just the 7-star sword master who has the strength of the first-line national transport. For Long Fei, it is even more important. I don't care at all. After all the unsealing in another world, it is already comparable to the Taijin Jinxian. Now, I can feel that this person has the peak power of Tai Jinxian. And this power is extremely repulsive to me, as if all the power of practice is a fault. Xuanzang said, "Right, big bad guys, I can feel it too. Even if I gave birth to a rebellious thought, I would have a feeling of hanging swords in the middle of the sky. The feeling of stinging the soul is extremely clear." Xian Yu echoed, obviously also with fear, but Long Fei is a scornful smile. "Don't care, even if you have muscles and started the plane, the ants are still ants, and they're vulnerable," Long Fei said, extremely confident. "Still do not put the 7-star sword master in the eyes." At this time, the 7-star sword master who was blessed by the power of the national movement opened his eyes and regained the 7-star sword. "Ha ha ha, the power of the national transport. This is the power of the national transport. Oh, I have already said that if you dare to hurt me, you are an enemy of the Lord. Do you still believe? Oh, my strength now, even if the big Luo Jinxian came, can also make him beg for mercy. As for you, you will die." The 7-star sword master holds the 7-star sword master, and the momentum is soaring, talking to Long Fei and others. A violent batch, as if now he is the master of the earth. One can influence the life and death of Long Fei and others. Ha ha ha. The sword master is the sword master, the national transport first, direct invincible. Yes, dare to be right with Yin, do not listen to the announcement, is to find death. Nowadays, the sword master is a sword in hand, and it is as easy as a melon to cut vegetables. Yes, there is this evil spirit. Are you arrogant? Without a saint, you are a fart. The sword master, destroying him, Yin Shou is sure to have a lot of rewards. Maybe this national power to stay with you is not impossible. Immediately, Li is also said by 3 people. At this point, they're also very excited. Looking at the terrorist power of the 7-star sword lord, the stone in the heart is put down. In front of this kind of power, Long Fei is in his eyes. It is already equivalent to a dead person. On the void, the main expression of the 7-star sword is also a cold smile. Good. Since Yin Shou wants their lives, then they will never have the possibility of surviving. 7-star sword, Dang Mo. The 7-star sword master has, and a sword, referring to the day of drinking. Boom. In the endless nothingness between the sudden 7 stars, once again flashing. Moreover, every time it flashes, it is full of a sharp killing. Brush. Then a sword screamed and passed. It was almost like a dragon. Be careful. Big bad guy, blow him up. Xuanzang and Xuan Yu open at the same time. 2 very different attitudes. But it can be seen that both of them are extremely concerned about Long Fei. Long Fei nodded slightly, and his voice did not move. He looked up and looked at the sword that fell in the air. Then were discovered thumb and index finger. Then press the thumb on the index finger and gently slam. Ding! A crisp sound appeared. However, the long sword of the 7-star sword master was directly fixed on the void. Then rub it. The entire long sword that had just condensed the hustle and bustle broke again. Moreover, it is more thorough than the last time and becomes a powder directly. Even if you want to recover, it is impossible. And the entire palm of the 7-star sword master, under this power, is also an instant burst, blood falling across the earth, falling to the earth. At this moment, time seems to stop. In addition to Long Fei, light and arrogant, step by step on the void, approaching the 7-star sword master, all the others, all wrong on the spot. Stunned. It seems to be a lost soul. Xianzong and Xian Yu are okay. After all, for Long Fei, there has long been a nameless confidence. I think that as long as it is a dragonfly, there is nothing that can't be done. But this is the case. The 2 look at the eyes of Long Fei, or they are full of sorrow. It's so strong. Xuanzang whispered. A soft light flashed in the eyes, and a touch of shyness seemed like nothing. Xianyu has some perception, and his eyes are dark, but he quickly hides the past. Yeah, my aunt, I really don't know how this is abnormal, how to cultivate it. I thought we had such a world shuttle and could have a sense of presence in front of him. It now appears that the gap is getting bigger and bigger. Xianyu said a lot and concealed his loss. At this time, Li is not far away from the three. All of them are big eyes, staring at the dragon flying here. Hey, is this a joke? How can this be? We said the three-person, one-person sentence has been chaotic nonsense. It can be seen how powerful the shock brought by this scene is. Of course, the deepest feeling is naturally the seven-star swordmaster. At this time, the seven-star swordmaster had long ago had no arrogance and the whole face was painfully twisted together. This is not the case because the sword was broken by the dragon and the palms of the hand were broken into pieces. The power of a national movement was also madly vented from him at the moment. His cultivation was also at this time being beaten back to the original shape. Unspeakable, Longfei said faintly, and his footsteps went forward again. Then a punch hit. Hey! Boom! A burst of noise broke out from the void. Then, in the seven-star sword lord is where it is, it has also become a nothingness. The seven-star sword master, a fist to death. However, Longfei, but there's no more stop, turn around, reach out, and explore directly to the power of the national transport that wants to be scattered in the hands. A fierce glimpse. Pull back directly into your own hands. Chapter 4689. Chapter 4689. Longfei looked at his hand and still groaned, trying to break away from the power of the so-called national transport he controlled. The corner of the mouth gradually appeared a smile. This smile is a surprise. Indeed, this power has indeed made Longfei feel a touch of incitement. Of course, this incitement comes from Dantian, because just in a moment when this national power is held in the hands of Longfei, Dantian, who had just been quiet, rioted again. Even the craving is more than the face of the last power of the law. As if it was a hungry man who had been hungry for a long time and saw a table of feasts. A wipe, the system sister, shouldn't Dan Tianlian want to swallow this power? Although Longfei's heart was pleasantly surprised, it also felt a little unbelievable. Contact system directly. Master your Dantian, I don't understand. You can only say that when your Dantian evolution is over. I am afraid that it will become the most terrible Dantian of the heavens. The system sister said. There is a bit of horror in the eyes, but it is extremely firm and full of expectations. That Longfei asked, as if now Dantian has become a pot. In general, what is the power of a brain is a word swallow. There should be a complete sentence, and the upgrade is all about swallowing. Fortunately, every power that Dantian swallowed was extremely extraordinary, and when Longfei looked forward to and surprised, he also gave birth to some concerns. After all, this is his own Dantian. Will it be too noisy and not categorical? Even said that beyond the limits of his own physical body. The master who is not, even if the power of engulfing is extremely special, but in the face of eternal power, it is not a level at all. At best, all this power is a ration for the eternal power. The power of eternal life is itself the power of the Tao, and all power cannot be above eternal life. Even if it is the supreme plane, the power of the system can go up with the power of eternal life. But it is impossible to suppress eternal life. The system's sister said, and Longfei, the heart, is also excited. Out of the road. The two words are themselves an overriding one. The sect of the law, everything works, nothing more than a word. Now, in his own Dantian, not only does it contain the strongest forces in several ways. The power of eternal life itself is a kind of extraterritorial power. Longfei even thought about it, and waited until the power of Dantian broke out. When, will you become a person outside the Tao? The law does not invade, and the road is invincible. I rub. Longfei's heart was so excited that he was shocked by his own thoughts. Even he did not dare to say to the system sister. However, my heart is extremely hopeful. Moreover, this expectation is not unrealistic. With this in mind, Long Fei looks at the power of the national movement in his hand. In China, there has always been a saying about the dragon's pulse. The so-called national transport is a country's air transport. In the end, it is also a dragon pulse. Since you want to swallow, then I will swallow you enough. Today, this is an appetizer. When you get through another world, when I will give you uprooted. Long Fei said. Of course, even now, Long Fei has no sense of belonging to China. However, the sin of one person is not enough to annihilate Long Fei's memory of China. However, it was born and died. Only by breaking down to destruction can we welcome new life. For this, Long Fei has already had a mind in mind. Everything, just wait for another world to get through. Between the talks, Long Fei will make a national power in his hands, and the heavens and the earth will be a furnace. Naturally, it will be a fire. This kind of familiarity can no longer be familiar with the means, and it will directly condense in a Dan and then swallow it into the belly. The next moment, Long Fei only felt a crisp sound in Dan Tian. Hey, it's like a tongue, as if this thing is not enough to eat. It is a pity that there are no more resources now. Between the thoughts, there was a touch of impulse in Long Fei's heart. That is, do you want to take the initiative to fight it now and directly kill the so-called Yin Shaoxi, and then the Chinese nation will be swallowed up? However, this idea only appeared in the mind of Long Fei's mind and disappeared directly. Not for the other, just now Xiao Yu is still missing, and Long Fei has no intention to do anything else. Moreover, with regard to social artifacts, Long Fei has already guessed what it is. However, now that Yin Shaoxi has not completely controlled this artifact, only when he is really in control can he be used for Long Fei. Therefore, even if Dan Tian is eager, Long Fei can only be suppressed. Don't worry, there's a day for you to eat enough. Long Fei appeased, as if to comfort the baby, softly said. What surprised Long Fei was that Dan Tian was quietly under his comfort. Then, it seems to be caught in a sleep. The ancient well has no waves. Long Fei's heart is also a loose. At the same time, there's a lot of helplessness. It is clearly his own Dan Tian, but now it is not only what power can't be used, but also has to work hard to find rations for it. This kind of feeling, but the difference is that Long Fei believes that it will not be long before it will be able to keep the cloud open and see the moon. Dan Tian will certainly give him a surprise. Thinking of this, Long Fei was moving and came to Xianzong, looking at the turn, directly locked by 3 people. I heard that you are looking for me. Long Fei asked. From these 3 populations, Long Fei has already guessed the identity of 3 people. Nothing more, it is the protection of the Chinese state. That is, at the beginning, relying on Xiao Yu, he became the first person to practice. For such a person, born to be anti-bone, Long Fei's heart is scornful and extremely disgusting. Therefore, now that an opening is a threat, puff puff, the 3 men are an arrogant. Do not spend money from the 7. Liu opened his mouth and wanted to say something. However, a word was not finished, and the whole person directly burst under the pressure of Long Fei and became a fog. Then the other 2 were not spared. Also turned into a pool of blood fog. No traces. Xian Yu and Xuanzang stepped forward and stood beside Long Fei. Oh, deserving, a group of dogs and people who are arrogant, do not know how to live and dare to provoke big bad guys and find their own way. Xian Yu said coldly. Xuanzang, but a face of silence. As if in my heart, I still don't know how to face Long Fei. But Long Fei at this time was silent, because just as he exerted the pressure of the moment, he clearly felt that his own Dan Tian was echoing. It has directly linked the eternal life and extradition of force from the eternal life. Directly kill the 3. This is Dan Tian's power. Can the power of even the eternal life be called? If the deduction is really completed, to what extent is the horror? Long Fei's heart was forced to triple. Similarly, it was shocked by the horror of Dan Tian. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.